Despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mostly sunny skies this afternoon with a high in the low 60s. Winds out of the southeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, increasing cloud cover, a low near 46. By Friday, sunshine and windy, high of 70 degrees. Then by Saturday, plenty of blue skies and sunshine, a high around 66. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 59.
I need results, so I choose the one system I trust to take weeds down and keep them down on even my toughest acres. With the Roundup Ready Extend crop system, I get the proven performance of Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans, combined with XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology for control of more weeds than any other soybean system. Up to 14 days of soil activity on labeled weeds, and the kind of yield potential that helps keep me in the black. All to deliver my kind of results, season after season. I choose the Roundup Ready Extend crop system. I choose results. See why the Roundup Ready Extend crop system continues to be the #1 soybean system planted by farmers when you visit RoundupReadyExtend.com. XtendiMax is a restricted-use pesticide. Performance may vary. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Check local regulations for specific requirements in your state.
Let's face it, nobody really looks at your ceiling until the brown water stain from your leaky roof appears. Then it seems like heads tilt to your ceiling like it's the Sistine Chapel. With winter coming, you really can't afford to let your leaky roof go any longer. It's time to call Spring Valley Roofing and Gutters for a free estimate. And speaking of winter, isn't it time you had the leaky windows, siding, and doors replaced too? Spring Valley Roofing and Gutters, Fort Dodge. Call 576-6438 for your free estimate today.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right, and you don't want to suck, so listen to this program. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Yes, we're on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, then 1400 KVFD, and that's where you'll see us live. Live video and audio, and certainly we're on Twitter at JMike1400, Facebook at AM 1400 KVFD. This is the time of week that we host someone from the Growth Alliance. Today is no exception. We have the ever-elusive Kelly Halstead with us today. How are you, Kelly?
Good, Mike.
All right. Now, how is Bemrick at some retail thing and you're here?
Oh, because he got the long straw.
Because he's the mayor or what?
Yeah.
He's the mayor and you get to stay home.
Yeah, he's been involved. He and Chad have been involved in some of the things that are going out on the mall. So
Chad Schaefer?
Yeah, and then they also had hired a career coach maybe about 6 months ago. And they've been kind of moving that forward with that study. And so, yeah, they're out there working that show.
All right. And who have you brought with us?
I have Jen Crimmins.
Jen Crimmins.
Lighting,
Jen,
sorry.
I was going to say, what happened?
I
Just in the last 5 minutes, she left lighting and took off with the Crimmins?
I know. I combined the HR ladies at Nestle. Sorry, Jen Lighting is here with Nestle.
That's a big relief to lighting, I'm sure. Old Pat, he was probably surprised. Those damn Crimmonses, he did it again.
Right.
Well, how are you,
Great,
Jen?
Great, thank you.
All right. What is your position? You're in HR, I take it?
I'm in HR at Nestle.
Do you work with one of the Crimmonses out
I
there?
do,
Okay.
yes, Mary Crimmins.
Okay, and who is she married to?
Wayne.
Wayne, I
Yes.
guess I don't think I know him.
Mark's Auto Mart.
Mark's, okay, that Crimmins.
that
All right.
Crimmins,
Oh,
yeah.
Chuck and all those guys over there.
Give
Okay.
him a little plug today.
All right,
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
okay. That's all right.
They're a member too.
Great.
And so you're here with Nestle's Purina,
Yeah.
and you're in HR. Now, the first question I have for you is a question I already asked you, really, is if you have trouble recruiting the right type of people to Nestle.
Well, it's actually become somewhat more challenging, especially when we're dealing with shortages in the skilled trades area. I would say is the biggest challenge for us, maintenance positions. But that is a nationwide shortage issue. That's not a local problem, strictly.
So why does that problem exist? I mean, the benefit packages, the wage packages I've seen offered. We seem to have education here at Iowa Central. Are these industrial training programs that difficult, or?
Well, we have just, fantastic resources locally for that with our
we do.
partnership with Iowa Central Community College, and they have amazing programs that support the manufacturing sector. I don't know if people are choosing not to pursue that technical trade.
I'll tell you, if I had a choice between working in industrial maintenance at Nestle Purina or working in Burger King, I'd definitely pick, the Nestle Purina option.
Absolutely.
Even if it took a little training.
Sure.
Yeah, I think people have a misperception of actually what the job is and what the job does, and maybe you want to describe a little bit what the job does.
Well, Nestle Purina, first of all, we were one of the leading employers for the pet food industry here in Fort Dodge. We've been around for over 40 years, and we're highly automated. We make the 5.5-ounce cans of wet cat and dog food. And like I mentioned, we're highly automated. So whether individuals are in a production position or in maintenance or in some of our professional skilled positions like IT and quality roles, they're dealing with high technology and equipment that supports our process flow.
Now you're adding an extra emphasis on hiring women in manufacturing.
That's right. In fact, that's why we're here today, to really promote that event that we've created and designed in partnership with the Growth Alliance, with Iowa Central Community College and Iowa Works.
Okay.
It's a new event, something that we haven't done before, and we're really encouraging women in particular to consider careers in manufacturing.
Okay.
Women really hold less than 1/3 of careers in manufacturing, and we're really working to change that. And manufacturing in general is seeing a lot of growth, but with that skills challenge, that gap in future employment, filling skilled positions, we're trying to change the perception of manufacturing. Perhaps traditionally it was considered more of a dangerous or dirty, repetitive type position, and it's quite the opposite today. We've got, as I mentioned, significant automation, a lot of problem solving, and a huge focus on efficiency systems. We look for individuals who can really be autonomous in their roles and be leaders in their position.
Okay. You do have enough, I shouldn't say enough, but you do have women on your production assembly lines.
We do. In fact,
I think every place in town, even the mills. I mean, the mills, that's heavy work.
Absolutely.
And there's women that work out there.
We do. Our workforce locally has approximately 30% women in our facility. And, our challenge is to continue to attract and retain those women. And this event really is designed to help them perhaps gain some resources, gain some skills, and learn about the resources in the community that can help them become more successful in a manufacturing environment. So our agenda for this event is going to include how to build a great resume, and even how to balance work and life work and life, whether it's meal preparation or finding quality daycare, which is always a problem.
That's a huge concern for everybody. I mean,
especially when working a back shift.
Yes, it is. So. You mentioned resources, and we've already talked about Iowa Central, and we talk about Iowa Central a lot on this program. I've tried to encourage young people to look into programs out there. The economy's changing, the world is changing, and certainly a little education with some investment in yourself could pay off all your life. I mean, Matt Bemrick is always looking for electricians, and he's not the
Right.
only one. And those jobs after an apprenticeship, they pay very well with benefit package and everything. So you mentioned other resources. What sort of resources are you talking about?
Well, Iowa Works will have representatives there to present on building a
And
resume.
where is this again, please?
This will be held at Iowa Central's East Campus.
East Campus. Now
Right.
that's out Old Smith Way.
Right.
I still have to say that.
Yeah. It's October 29th, Tuesday, October 29th. And we'll start out at 8:30 in the morning. And we really encourage people to RSVP so that we can make sure we're handling the amount of people that are interested. And they can do that at our office, the Growth Alliance office, by either calling Skyla at 515-955-5500 or emailing Skyla to reserve a spot at Skyla, SKYLA, at greaterfortdodge, all spelled out.com.
Okay. So is this exclusively for women, or can young men come as well? Or?
Well, sure. We won't, absolutely won't
You're not going to, because I was waiting to pounce on Kelly for being sexist.
I'm in HR.
I was just going to pounce.
Mike.
No.
But our focus,
I was going to put a picture of her on Facebook and say sexist.
our focus for this particular event is on encouraging women to consider those careers.
And one part of it that I'm pretty excited about is that we're going to have a mini career fair. So we have manufacturers in the area that will have a table and have the opportunity to take in resumes at that time and maybe discuss the types of jobs that they have available and take some names and hopefully get some people that maybe are underemployed or, we're also targeting Iowa Central students as well as the high school students to give them an introduction to manufacturing. What does it really look like behind those walls?
I've been using the term young women. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do. You mentioned underemployed. Somebody can be well into their life and not be making much money, want to improve their life because they still have plenty of working years left.
Right.
I'm sure that, at least I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I should ask you if women who are in their 30s, 40s, even 50s should take a look at a program like this.
Absolutely. We encourage any individual over the age of 18.
Over the age of 18.
That is the general age for manufacturing positions, 18 and older. So
Sure.
absolutely, we welcome all age groups.
Do you what sort of physical condition do most people in manufacturing have to be in? By that I mean there's plenty of handicapped people around with some sort of handicap.
Sure.
You mentioned, I haven't been in a factory in a long, long time. I would imagine that with the new technology that's come along in the last 20 years, that more of these jobs can be done by handicapped people.
Absolutely. Our environment is, like I mentioned, very automated. The manual labor has tremendously decreased over the years. In fact, a good portion of the positions happen to be monitoring process through technology. But we are first and foremost a safe environment to work in, and that is one of our biggest qualifications, is that the individual has a safe mindset. So we always support individuals getting assistance with manual positions or getting help with lifting and things of that nature.
So why are we focusing on just women? I mean, is it because Kelly's a sexist, or? I'm going to get that in there.
So why
now.
women? Purina is very committed to supporting women. I think traditionally opportunities for women in manufacturing were once really hard to find. But that's changing, and these positions are more available, and the access is more available.
Yeah.
So we're just really looking to reshape that perception. Increase diversity in our teams, which has proven success in productivity and innovation, and just really help educate women about the types of opportunities that do exist in our area in the manufacturing sector.
I think you're making a good point. I mean, I'm getting to be kind of an old dog over here, and I really don't know what types of careers young women look at. But I'm thinking that a lot of women who are a little older haven't really considered manufacturing as a career.
Perhaps.
Maybe so.
We're excited to welcome one of our directors of production engineering from our St. Louis office, who will be our keynote speaker, Christine Summers. And she's going to talk a little bit about her career that she has developed as a woman in manufacturing. And then also we will have a testimonial from one of our our female production operators, who will be there at the event to talk about her career that she has built over 10 years of employment with us. As at some points in her career, a single mother, and managing a third shift position for all these years, and being very successful at what she does.
Kelly, when you were a younger woman, which was, I know, just last week, but
Yeah.
but you didn't consider a career in manufacturing.
No.
Did any of your friends?
I don't know if they did or not. I mean, we at my era, well, let's say in high school, we didn't really expose to it, and so I think this is a really important event that we're putting on. So we create awareness and exposure to our young women about manufacturing, that it is a clean and safe place to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's a great idea. That anything that lifts people up, I'm in favor of. Anything that enables people to live a more prosperous and happier life, I'm certainly in favor of. So this is this is Women in Manufacturing. Is that what we're talking? Is that
right? On Tuesday, October 29th.
Tuesday, October 29th, so not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday.
Right.
And that starts at 8:30 in the morning.
Right.
At Iowa Central East, also known as Old Smithway Drug.
And RSVP with the Growth Alliance.
Yes.
Okay, RSVP, and the phone number again?
515-955-5500, or you can email Skyla at Skyla, Skyla, at greaterfortdodge.com.
That's kind of a cool name, don't you think, Skyla?
Yeah.
Bet her parents
She's kind of a cool person.
I bet she is, yeah. I bet her parents were hippies. All right. I really want to thank you. First of all, it's been a pleasure to meet you, Jen.
Same.
Kelly, always great to see you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Good seeing you.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Weed control in the 2019 growing season. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System. 2019 has been one of the most challenging years for farmers ever, and that didn't make tackling tough-to-control weeds any easier. In this Managing for Profit, Shauna Hubbard, Trait Herbicide Product Manager, shares some takeaways about controlling weeds this year. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
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 Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
The 2019 growing season presented challenges across the board for farmers. Shauna Hubbard, Trait Herbicide Product Manager at Corteva AgriScience, says from getting the crop planted to controlling weeds, farmers have experienced it all this year.
Some of those weed control challenges included the inability to get our pre's down. Some of our fields got behind from the get-go with really wet conditions in the spring, and it can be difficult to catch up. But I think as we fast forward to right now and kind of reflect on this tough season, I know a lot of folks want to put 2019 behind them. The late season challenge with weed control is making sure we do our best to limit the amount of weed seed that's going into the seed bank for next year.
She tells Brownfield the Enlist Weed Control System has been a great option for farmers this year.
Having great comments back from our folks on control of mare's tail, water hemp, giant ragweed, and even Palmer amaranth and other pigweed species. So when they're able to use Enlist Duo or Enlist One plus glufosinate or glyphosate, on those Enlist traded crops, it's very helpful to have multiple herbicide options post-emergence, and that really came into play this year. The other thing I'd say is that we're hearing very reliably from farmers that they appreciate the behavior of Enlist herbicides with their on-target properties. So not having to worry about volatility with the 2,4-D choline in Enlist herbicides, and feeling like they can be good neighbors because they're not going to experience movement of those herbicides after application. Some of the practical help of having that very stable molecule of 2,4-D choline comes from the Enlist herbicide labels with flexibility for applicators to spray during a wider window of application on Enlist crops, and being able to use nozzles that give us better coverage while still limiting driftable fines. Weed control and on-target characteristics come top of mind. And then right now, of course, we're monitoring harvest results, starting to get that in from our cotton business and our early soybean harvest geographies more toward the south. Of course, it's best to harvest when we've got clean fields and nothing that's popped up above the canopy, and we've protected yields better by eliminating that weed competition.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization, and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn up 3 cents at $3.94 3/4. March up 3 at $4.06 1/2. May up 3 at $4.12 3/4. July up 3 cents at $4.17 3/4. November soybeans up 3 1/2 at $9.31 1/2. January up 3 cents at $9.45 1/4. March up 2 1/2 at $9.57. May up 2 at $9.65 1/4. December wheat closed up 12 1/4 at $5.25 1/2. Soybean meal up $2 a ton at $3.0680. October live cattle up a nickel at $112.40. December up 50 cents at $114.37. October feeder cattle down $102 at $144.20. November down $160 at $144.32. December lean hogs down $2.47 at $68.15. February down $1.20 at $77.65. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. It's 61 degrees. In the weather forecast, sunny today with a high of 62. Overnight, some clouds, low 46. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 70. On Saturday, sunny with a high of 66. Sunday, a slight chance of rain. Other than that, mostly cloudy with a high of 64. On Monday, it'll rain, mostly cloudy with a high of 55. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 52. And windy. And Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 57. Right now, beautiful day, 61 degrees at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice for Dodge, and the farmers are up and down the fields like crazy. There is no doubt. The obituaries this hour being brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Jane Thorson has died at the age of 86. Jane Thorson of Fort Dodge died yesterday. She died on Tuesday at the Paula J. Baber Hospice Home. There will be a celebration of the life of Jane Thorson, and that'll be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon this Saturday at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services. Visitation from 3 until the time of the service on Saturday. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project will be next as Divine Intervention continues at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Fall is in the air and the general store is ready. Stop into the general store today and see their full line of fall clothing, including hoodies, sweaters, coats, jackets, jeans, and more. And don't forget shoes and boots. You'll find the latest fall fashions for the whole family at the general store. They can hook you up for Halloween, too, with tons of costume ideas and Halloween decor. And remember, everything at the general store is always tax-free, and all proceeds go towards helping people in our community. The General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the Domestic Sexual Assault Outreach Center is asking you to show support for victims and survivors. Join us on October 25th for Jeans Day. You and your coworkers can donate $5 to DSOC for the chance to wear jeans for a day at work. All donations help DSOC continue to offer free and confidential services to victims and survivors of domestic violence. If your workplace would like to participate, or if your workplace doesn't allow jeans but you would still like to support us, we have other options. Call 955-2273.
The demand for CBD products from hemp is growing, but what should consumers look for on the label? I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Tim O'Brien is with Apple Wellness in Wisconsin, where they sell CBD products derived from hemp. There are multiple companies making those products, and the list keeps growing. So what should you look for on the label?
QR codes are good. If there's not a QR code, bringing you to the certificate of analysis, checking out their website, ensuring that what they say is in the label is actually in the product. There is a lot of struggles. It's the Wild West out there. FDA does not control this industry, and we need to make sure that there is label and product integrity. Sourcing is huge. Price point is big. Cannabinoid content, terpene-rich products. So if you cannot figure out all the details, try to work with a company that you can trust.
O'Brien recommends not falling for outlandish claims on CBD products.
There's bad synthetic CBD oils out there. There's good, better, best. There's the label will say it has 10 milligrams of CBD, and then it has 2 milligrams. But because there's not certificate of analysis and nobody controlling it, the consumer loses out in the end. So I think it's important for companies to take it on themselves to pay the extra money to have it third-party tested, proving to themselves, the consumers, and the world that it is quality.
People are using CBD products to reduce pain, stress.
Yeah, David?
Yep.
Yeah, hang on just 1 minute.
I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor. I grew up in the beautiful rural countryside of Ohio, where animals roamed freely in the open forests. I have a deep concern to help preserve those open spaces for our wildlife friends so they can live and thrive like they used to. Destruction of their habitats threaten their very existence. The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land where they live. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats, and establish permanent sanctuaries. To learn more, or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE. Or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thanks.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right. We're making radio great again all the time here at AM 1400 KVFD. I think today is greater than yesterday, and tomorrow will be greater than today. And David Osterberg joins us. He is the co-founder of the Iowa Policy Project in Iowa City, a group in Iowa City that is dedicated to research-backed information they hope will affect public policy. And, of course, David and I have long since concluded in our bitter cynicism that it's hopeless. We might as well give up. Let's sign the station off the air and go live in the desert. That's it. Okay. Hi, David. How are you? On that bright note, let's go to David Osterberg now.
Well, I was just trying to figure out how those two paragraphs fit together. Next day is going to be better than today, and the one better, and then you get into cynicism.
Cynicism, I'll tell you. Well, I was cynical to say that tomorrow gets better than today, I guess.
Oh, that was, I see, tongue-in-cheek.
Yes, absolutely. I years ago, and still to this day, George Carlin is one of my all-time favorite comedians. And I remember George Carlin appeared here in Fort Dodge at least once, so it's been quite a long time ago. And even then, he was talking about sooner or later the Republicans would start coming for our Medicare and Social Security. I want to tell you that day is here. Some of our Republican candidates, like Randy Feenstra and Jeremy Taylor, who are seeking to unseat Steve King for the Republican nomination, have made no bones about the fact that they would like to, how shall I say this? What word did they use? Modify Social Security. In other words, they want to start making changes to Social Security now with the long-term goal of killing it. And there's some rumblings that Republicans in Washington, even some of our Republican representatives in Washington, I'm looking at you, Joni Ernst, are talking about Social Security as well. So, yeah, George was right all those years ago. I never thought anybody'd lay their hands on Social Security, and I think that's particularly risky in the 4th District, where the average age is 87. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, it should be. Well, also Medicaid, not just Social Security, Medicare, we also have Medicaid. And most people think that's just poor people's stuff, and we don't care much about them. Right. Except it's your Aunt B in the nursing home is who's often getting that. In Iowa, Medicaid tends to be for people It's just that they're run out of their savings. And
without a doubt. I mean, the retirement homes around here are a big industry. They are. And a lot of those retirement homes depend on Medicare and Medicaid payments.
They certainly do, because you just can't afford, because they cost so much. I mean, whether or not they get good care or not the question. They just cost a lot. And, you know, if you've had a fairly good life, you're going to spend down what you've saved. And there's a time at which you get rid of your car, you get rid of your house, and you just live too long.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why it's mainly women instead of guys.
It is mainly women. I don't know. They killed us years ago. You know, they just rode us right into the grave. Put their spurs on and rode us right into the grave. And a high school classmate of mine was writing just the other day that, and her mother was fairly well off at retirement, but in 3 years they've ran through her entire life savings. The profit made from her house, which was a very nice house and she had paid for. And that was in 3 years at a memory facility, as they call them now.
Oh, yeah.
Because the poor lady, and this was really a heartbreaking story, her daughter, my classmate, came to see her and sat next to her in her room, and her mother began talking to her about the wonderful daughter that she had and how much she loved her daughter. You know, and she didn't realize that she was talking to her daughter. Just that, it's just that Alzheimer's is just a terrible thing.
It is.
What a heartbreaking story, but it kind of makes you feel good as well, because the lady obviously had, again, a great love for her daughter. We're here to talk taxes today with David Osterberg. That's usually Peter Fisher's province, but Peter's in Arizona already, or what?
Yeah, Peter's being farmer. Remember, he's a farmer as well as a person here.
God, doesn't he have enough money, for God's sake? Well,
yeah, but I mean, he has it's apples and pears. And
he does that sort of thing.
Stuff. Yeah, that's what he does.
Well, I'm waiting to grow commercially available marijuana, but the state is again dragging its feet. So. That should be a great cash crop whenever the day comes, long after Kim Reynolds is out of office. But anyway, go to my Facebook page, and that's at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, and you'll see a post from the Iowa Fiscal Partnership, which is also put out by the Iowa Policy Project. And the title of it is The Senate Plan Hurts Poor Middle-Class People. The Senate Plan Hurts the Poor in the Middle. How does this happen, David?
Well, because we have several different taxes. I mean, we have property tax, which doesn't go to the state; it goes to local, mainly to your schools. Mm-hmm. And then you have the state collects from sales tax and income tax. And every chance they get, and this is the Republican Party because they've been in control for such a long time, they will cut income tax. And when you do that, you make the system more regressive. Right now, everybody knows, and in fact, on your website, you have that article going after this guy at Berkeley, Sauce. That article admits that state taxes are regressive. That is, if you're pretty poor, you're going to pay 12, 13% of your income in taxes, and if you're rich, you pay 7%. That's the way the system works.
I really like that.
It's mainly because you cut back on income tax, which is progressive in the sense that as your income goes up, you get into higher brackets, right?
Right.
And therefore, if you get pretty rich, your bracket goes, higher, up to around 8 or 9% in Iowa. But every time you get a chance to, quote, reform taxes, you increase sales and decrease income, and the system gets worse for most of us.
But isn't there a cap? I mean, there's not much of a cap either. I mean, the progressive income tax keeps going up until it hits what, 120, 150,000?
Yes. Oh, that's you're also talking about the other tax, the FICA tax that goes to the federal government. Your income. When you're paying for what's taken out of your salary for the work you're doing, that goes up to about 120, then it stops. Different tax, but the same idea. Again, regressive. We all pay, your portion plus your employer's portion together out of that FICA tax is like 13.5%. Unless you get high enough income, and then it drops to about 3. No, the regressivity is just built into all kinds of tax systems. The only one that's progressive, the more you make, the higher the percentage of your income you're paying is income. So when the tax credit that went through in 2017 at the federal level, or the one that went in 2018 at the Iowa level, did the same thing. So if you're under $30,000 from the Iowa tax, your average tax cut was $21. If you make more than $1 million, it was $24,000.
Of course, if you're making more than $1 million, I don't suppose $24,000 sounds like much money to you.
And in fact, as a percentage of your taxes, it was you're the percent of your income. It's not that different, but your income's not very much when you're making under 30.
No, it's and there's still, I still see in the want ads, you can join our company and make $30,000 a year. Oh my God!
Yeah.
My God, that's what, $15 an hour.
That would be $15 an hour, and there are worse jobs than that in the state.
Oh, sure. Without a doubt. Oh, you can start. I saw a convenience store the other day, starting at $11.70 an hour.
Right.
My God, you ought to be ashamed of yourself even for putting that on your door.
And then you're in there all night and have a chance of getting robbed too.
Oh yeah, or if not robbed, there's all kinds of strange people. I tell you, I used to do early morning radio. I was an early morning rock and roll jock for many years at different spots around the country, Arkansas and North Carolina, those places. And I can tell you, I'd go into a convenience store at 5 o'clock in the morning to get my, I used to get a big cup of coffee and cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
Oh, absolutely. I'd smoke a pack in 4 hours on the air. And mainly I went in to get my enthusiasm going. My enthusiasm was a big old jelly donut and a big cup of coffee. But a lot of times there were guys in there just getting home, on their way home, and they were in crazy shape. And it wasn't unusual to see the police in some of those places at 4 or 5 in the morning. It's a difficult job for $11.70 an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. Let me try to eat on that.
Right, and so then comes the government to do a tax cut for you, and you don't get it, and really rich people do, and that's kind of what's been going on. I mean, nobody argues about the regressivity of state taxes. The Iowa Policy Project has been putting that out for years and years, and again, the numbers are about right: 12-13% if you're really low income, 7% if you're really high income. And in between, it kind of goes down. So the average is more like 10.5%. But so there's a lot more money that are paid by high-income people, because 7% of a really big number is more than 12% or 13% of a really small number. So you often hear, rich people pay most of the taxes, but they sure don't pay very much in terms of what they could be paying and what we have an idea that they ought to be paying. And people we got to support schools, we got to take care of highways and everything else. And why should it be that the lowest income people have to pay the biggest portion of their income for it?
Well, because if they don't, we'll be Venezuela and Detroit.
Yeah, right.
Godless monolithic communism. It worked 70 years ago. They just fine-tuned the message now. If I hear Venezuela or Detroit one more time, I'm going to come right out of my chair, I swear to God. Venezuela, my God.
And it substitutes for teaching. It's a substitute for learning something. So here you are. You can't confront what people say, that poor people pay a much higher percentage of their income than rich people do. So you don't confront that. You just go and say, well, that's what happened to Detroit, which has nothing to do with anything.
Well, what happened to Detroit was NAFTA and Bill Clinton's tax policies that allowed all of the car manufacturers to move south of the border.
Some of that.
And certainly the average auto worker now in Mexico makes $1.90 an hour, but a pickup is still $55,000 a year. So Where's all that extra profit going that they're saving on labor?
Yeah, right.
I'm not getting any of it. No, and we have a lot of poverty in our country. What's happening over the years with manufacturing moving overseas and certainly a lot of business are eyeing the Chinese market like they're just salivating at the very idea. By the way, a lot of our trade secrets are voluntarily given away by companies as a condition China gives them to do business in the country at all.
Yeah, so it's not stolen in the
It's
sense.
not stolen,
Right,
that's
right.
right. We're not being held up. It's just the American business is so greedy, they're blinded by the profits that they can make. And they voluntarily give away their trade secrets. They're going to bank the money and retire, and then there's nothing for the next generation. I don't know. Well, I do know what the solution is, but it's probably impractical. I didn't see it on the debate stage last night, I'll tell you that. I didn't see anybody talking about these problems on the debate stage. It was just beating each other up, and every now and then Trump. But
You're right. That's true. I'd like to see much more of the policy stuff and go beyond the soundbite. Of course, that's what you'd like to see, but.
I know more about Hunter Biden now than I ever wanted to. I didn't even want to know who he was. Now that I know, he seems kind of a seedy character. Okay, we've got it done. All right, we know that now. Let's go in an entirely different direction. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. We're talking with David Osterberg about tax policy. Every week I talk with Dr. Dean Stanzel, and he's an economist at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. And Dean's a good guy. He is a libertarian, and I think his ideology, and he's a researcher. He's a very disciplined man, but I think his libertarian ideology gets in the way of his research or affects his research. Of course, I believe that happens frequently, especially in the legal profession, is that our biases sometimes affect our conclusions. And Dean and I talked just on Monday that in Dean's argument was, well, no, working class people don't really pay a higher amount of their income in taxes than wealthier people do. And he left me unconvinced.
No, I mean, it's certainly not at the state level. And if you look at Texas and find out that, again, this is not state taxes, but the federal taxes that people who live in Texas pay. I give you the numbers for Iowa, for an Iowa tax. From the Trump tax cut in 2017, the poorest 20% got about $90, and the richest got $66,000. I mean, that's how. I don't know how he argues that rich people are not paying a higher or a much lower percentage, because, I mean, every time you change the taxes, you change them in a way that let the rich off. You decrease their taxes substantially. You don't do much for the poor. And if what he said is true, it must have been horribly progressive in the past, and and that's just not so.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. In our state, a right-to-work state, where we have a heavy influx of often illegal immigration, driving wages down, and I don't hear a and when people hear us talk this way, David, they're thinking about, oh, those Republicans are doing this and Republicans are doing that. Well, they are. I mean, they're a pro-business party, and they don't make any bones about it. But let's not forget for a second, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats haven't done a damn thing about this problem in 25 years, and they could have.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they could have or not, but they haven't. I mean, we agree on that. And that's why some of the people like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are saying we need a real change. We really need to figure out how people don't live paycheck from paycheck to the next paycheck in one of the richest countries in the world.
Well, in the next segment, I'm going to be talking with Larry Baker, an Iowa City guy, and he's an author.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and I've read a couple of his books. I've had him on the air before, and he's jazzed up about Pete Buttigieg. So in the next segment, I'll be talking with him about the fabulous Pete, and we'll see what he has to say.
Yeah, well, I've heard Pete speak. He speaks well.
Yes, he does. David Osberger, the Iowa Policy Project in Iowa City, has been our guest. Please go to iowapolicyproject.org or iowafiscal.org to find out more. It's a great organization.
And remember that poor people pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes than the rich.
Well, if they're paying any taxes and they're making $30,000 a year, that's too much as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I must be a socialist. All right. David, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
I've been farming my whole life.
I don't need somebody to come out here and state the obvious.
I don't need anybody to explain my farm to me.
My local co-op works with CHS, and they know what I need when I need it.
A global network of support,
local expertise,
and valuable market options.
We need a co-op that's here for us.
So we can own every day.
When you're an owner of a local cooperative connected to CHS, you get local expertise, a proven, efficient supply chain, and global market access. Learn more at cooperativeownership.com.
A history of success means proven performance, but let's call performance what it is: profitability. And boosting yours, especially during a challenging season, takes more than just what the best seed can offer. That's why DeKalb brand corn is backed by exclusive genetics for consistent yield potential, proven over a 100-year growing legacy, enhanced by a portfolio of elite inputs and products, and maximized using digitally enabled whole farm solutions. Like Climate Field View, the industry's leading digital farming platform, all to help your crops stand stronger, your bins fill faster, and your margins grow wider. Let nothing shake your perseverance. Ask your dealer how DeKalb can help you realize a future of performance. Climate Field View services provide estimates or recommendations and do not guarantee results. More information at climate.com/disclaimers. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. Larry Baker, an author from Iowa City, will be on the air with us in just a couple of minutes, right after the news, really. And we'll talk about the Democratic Party debates just the other night. KVFD Fort Dodge.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
A moment of silence on Capitol Hill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The tribute in the House just a short time ago for Congressman Elijah Cummings, the longtime Maryland Democrat who died early today. He was 68.
I know that the people of Baltimore, the U.S. Congress, and America have lost a voice of unsurpassed moral clarity and truth. Our beloved Mr. Chairman Elijah Cummings.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is personally devastated by his passing. She says Cummings lived the American dream and wanted it for everyone.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Next June will be held at one of the president's resorts, Trump National Doral, just west of Miami.
We had talked about the possibility of whether or not the president could actually do it at no cost. They understand there's difficulties with doing it that way, but we're also have difficulties, obviously, if they charge market rates. So they're doing this at cost.
Mulvaney says the president will not profit from the event. Democrats disagree.
This was the reaction from Congressman Jerry Nadler, the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, saying in a statement just moments ago, in part, quote, he, speaking of the president, is exploiting his office and making U.S. official government decisions for personal financial gain. The emoluments clauses of the Constitution exist to prevent this kind of corruption.
Fox Business Network's Blake Berman at the White House. A convicted murderer sentenced to life in prison in Arizona is now appealing her case and asking for a new trial.
Jodi Arias was convicted in 2013 of killing her boyfriend Travis Alexander 5 years earlier, but her attorneys are appealing her conviction, and they allege she should get a new trial due to prosecutorial and judicial misconduct. They say the trial turned into a circus, with the prosecutor Juan Martinez speaking often with the media and ignoring the judge by continuing to ask certain questions during trial. They say the judge failed to rein all of it in. But Arias herself courted the media doing several interviews, and she spent weeks on the witness stand in her own defense. It was all televised. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Britain's parliament now expected to vote Saturday on a new Brexit deal. The revised agreement announced today by Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the EU just 2 weeks before the current deadline for the UK to exit the European Union. Recapping Wall Street, fluctuating day for the Dow in particular, but it finishes higher, up 24 points. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization, and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Bright sunshine this afternoon with highs around 61. Winds out of the southeast 10 to 15 miles per hour. 46 tonight, mainly cloudy skies expected. A blend of clouds and sun. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 70. Chance for scattered rain showers Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. Highs in the mid-60s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 61.
Start your next project today and save with 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Update your home with Great Lakes Flooring. Great Lakes brings long-lasting style and durability to your living space. Right now, get 11% off your next flooring project with Great Lakes hardwood and vinyl plank flooring. Sale prices are good through Saturday, October 19th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love and make the difference of a lifetime.
Grandma, this card asks, what's your favorite family tradition?
Christmas would be my favorite. You know how we use the special tablecloth and all the fancy dishes?
And those cookies you always make.
Should we whip up a batch and bake some together now?
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
We are the land of the free because of the brave. Alpha Media and Graham Tire want to thank our local military men and women for their service. Our Wall of the Brave is currently displayed at Graham Tire of Fort Dodge. We invite you to stop out to Graham Tire and sign the wall as a show of support for our military. This special veterans promotion is sponsored by Graham Tire of Fort Dodge, Farm Nutrients, Advanced Heating and Cooling, River Valley Winery and Orchards, the Co-op Bar and Grill, and Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
The General Store sells quality used clothing and household goods. Proceeds from their sales go for people supported by the nonprofit organization One Vision. One Vision provides services to nearly 600 people with special needs in 30 Iowa communities. One Vision finds them affordable, safe housing in their communities, including Clear Lake, Mason City, Garner, Forest City, Osage, Eagle Grove, Webster City, Humboldt, and Fort Dodge. Every purchase you make at the General Store helps the people served by One Vision. Shop the General Store, Fort Dodge.
Thrifty White Community Health Corner. Did you know that getting your flu shot not only protects you, but helps protect the people who are at the greatest risk of getting seriously ill from the flu, like the elderly, people with chronic health conditions, and young children? October is a great month to get your flu shot for longer protection during the flu season. Get your flu shot, not the flu. Flu shots are now available at your local Thrifty White pharmacy. No appointment necessary.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. We have 60 rounds of freedom with us at all times at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. You can certainly join this program by calling 515-955-1400. That's 955-1400. Again, we're on Twitter at JMike1400. We're on Facebook, AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. And on YouTube, audio and video. Just go to youtube.com, then 1400 KVFD, lowercase letters. And there we are. We're waiting for a call from Iowa City author Larry Baker. He is the author of a couple of books that we've talked about here today. Not here today, but here on this radio station. In the past. So, we await that call. If you weren't with us at 2 o'clock, shame on you. You missed Kelly Halstead and Jen Lighting, who were here, talking about women in manufacturing, presented by Nestle Purina. That will be hosted with Iowa Works, Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance, and Iowa Central Community College. Again, what we're talking about is women in manufacturing, presented by Nestle Purina. Nestle Purina, yes. and that's will be at Iowa Central East, which is Old Smithway Trucking to me. Of course, I still look for Big Bear and the Disco Den out on Highway 20, so I'm way behind the times. It was an interesting conversation with Jen Lighting, who's in HR, who is in HR out at Nestle's, and Kelly Halstead, of course, who's with the Growth Alliance. And Growth Alliance, again, is one of these sponsors, one of the sponsors of Women in Manufacturing. It should be interesting. According to a press release, women hold less than 1/3 of careers in manufacturing, and these folks are working to change that. Join the employers and job seekers at Iowa Central East Campus for a day of empowering women in the field. Now, that's kind of a buzzword anymore, isn't it? Empowering. Christine Summers, Director of Production Engineering from Nestle Purina, will speak to encourage women to consider manufacturing careers and deliver a message to employers to create an inclusive and welcoming culture. The way manufacturing was described to me today by Jen and Kelly, it's not always the heavy lift that it used to be. Men used to dominate in these professions, and apparently still do, but they dominated for a long time because culturally it was felt that women should stay at home, which we're over that now, and that's a good thing. It must have been tremendously frustrating for talented young women a couple of generations ago to be told that they have to stay home and do the dishes and nothing else. I mean, the dishes have to be done. That's not a problem. But to be told that's all you can do, or cook the food, or whatever it is, that's a little stifling. I was an early feminist. I don't know what they got going on now, all this accusatory screaming at people, but certainly I would. I understood The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. A younger feminist should read the Bell Jar. It was illuminating, to say the very least. Sylvia Plath, by the way, great artist, great writer, committed suicide, great tragedy. But boy, I always find some dark side of a conversation to go down, don't I? Sorry. Anyway, RSVP, if you want to go to Women in Manufacturing, presented by Nestle Purina at Iowa Central East, and that will be on October 29th from 8:30 in the morning till 12 noon. Please RSVP to Skyla at greaterfortdodge.com. Skyla at greaterfortdodge.com. Do that, okay? All right. That's an important announcement. Veterans Day program, by the way, is coming up Friday, November 8th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Fort Dodge Senior High School. Veterans and their families, of course, will be recognized from 1 to 1:30. The folks will be serving free chili and cinnamon rolls for veterans and their families. At 1:30, we will start our program, which will end at approximately 2:30. Parking will be reserved by the auxiliary gym for our veterans. All veterans are encouraged to wear their uniform. Yeah, I weigh about 100 pounds more than I did when I was in the military. So I don't think we're going to be wearing my old uniform. I don't think that'll happen. No, I don't. Veterans Helping Others, by the way, the Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity at 118 North 12th Street in Fort Dodge. They need your help with pickup donations. Salvage houses prior to demolitions. Volunteer at the Restore. Volunteers at the Restore. You may call Marcia if you would like to give of your time and your skills. You may call Marcia at 576-4316. Or you can stop by the Restore. Again, that's at 118 North 12th. So, really, we have a lot going on in our town. You know, J.J. Sanchez, and this is going to be something. J.J. Sanchez was here with Mayor Bremrick last Thursday during the mayor's time. And he was talking about making Fort Dodge a tourist destination. Now, this is a guy with a lot of experience. I mean, he's wide and he's nationwide, you know. So, if he can get that done, that would be terrific. You know, 50 years ago, a lot of people used to come to Fort Dodge, period, because we were a regional shopping center. And we had a lot more farmers. The farms weren't nearly as big as they are now, and our smaller towns were much healthier. But, of course, time marches on, and the farms got bigger, the little towns dried up, and Fort Dodge just about did as well. Fort Dodge just about did as well. It wasn't looking too good through the 1990s, I'll tell you, and early 2000s. We were not looking too good, and we still got a long, long, long way to go. We got to do something with that mall. We got to do something with the Warden Plaza. We do need a few more entertainment places in our town. I'm not talking full rock band and things like that, but boy, I sure miss supper clubs in Fort Dodge. Maybe they're a thing of the past. You know, maybe I'm the last generation that appreciates a Sandstone Inn or a Black Knight, Jimmy's Black Knight. But man, I do. It's hard to get a good steak in Fort Dodge. I mean, there's places that do serve steaks. It's hard to find a place where the atmosphere was anything like Jimmy's Black Knight, of course, from a long time ago. And that's unfortunate. I really miss Eilers. You know, I think that old hotel and the former Eilers restaurant are going to be bulldozed. I think I heard that, or at least sold for taxes or something. But I regret it had to close. I'm regretting certainly that the Sandstone had to close. That place had, and everybody knew this, the best prime rib around. People would come from a long way to eat prime rib at the Sandstone. Remember the Lamplighter? I've talked about the Lamplighter a few times, and that's been closed for 40 years, I bet. But that was a decent little place to go. There were some decent little places in Fort Dodge to go eat, and again, maybe the atmosphere, the decor, the menu, those types of places, like the Lamplighter, Sandstone, and Jimmy's. Maybe that's all part of the past. You know, maybe people have changed. People have changed so much now they don't want to go out to dinner to places like that. I regret that if that's the case. I regret the passing of the supper club. So, but the point is, again, we need places so people can recreate. If we're going to, Sanchez, I believe, and others have mentioned, you know, Fort Dodge is just a place where you go to work. Do you really want to live in a town that's the only thing you can do is work here? Let's just work here. There's nothing else for us to do. Let's just work here, and that's it. Maybe go to a high school football game. Doesn't sound all that great to me. Hopefully, some of our plans, and some of them may be grandiose and can't be achieved, but boy, I hope we can, and I've been saying this since I've had this radio program, that's 11 years. I hope we can turn this around. It's 322 AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 61 degrees.
Weed control in the 2019 growing season. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System. 2019 has been one of the most challenging years for farmers ever, and that didn't make tackling tough-to-control weeds any easier. In this Managing for Profit, Shauna Hubbard, Trait Herbicide Product Manager, shares some takeaways about controlling weeds this year. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my aunt.
I asked my dad.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my mom.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave.
You can do this.
You can do this.
Ask for help.
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 Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
The 2019 growing season presented challenges across the board for farmers. Shauna Hubbard, trait herbicide product manager at Corteva AgriScience, says from getting the crop planted to controlling weeds, farmers have experienced it all this year.
Some of those weed control challenges included the inability to get our pre's down. Some of our fields got behind from the get-go with really wet conditions in the spring, and it can be difficult to catch up. But I think as we fast forward to right now and kind of reflect on this tough season, I know a lot of folks want to put 2019 behind them. The late season challenge with weed control is making sure we do our best to limit the amount of weed seed that's going into the seed bank for next year.
She tells Brownfield the Enlist weed control system has been a great option for farmers this year.
Having great comments back from our folks on control of mare's tail, water hemp, giant ragweed, and even Palmer amaranth and other pigweed species. So when they're able to use Enlist Duo or Enlist One plus glufosinate or glyphosate on those Enlist traded crops, it's very helpful to have multiple herbicide options post-emergence, and that really came into play this year. The other thing I'd say is that we're hearing very reliably from farmers that they appreciate the behavior of Enlist herbicides with their on-target properties. So not having to worry about volatility with the 2,4-D choline in Enlist herbicides and feeling like they can be good neighbors because they're not going to experience movement of those herbicides after application. Some of the practical help of having that very stable molecule of 2,4-D choline comes from the Enlist herbicide labels with flexibility for applicators to spray during a wider window of application on Enlist crops and being able to use nozzles that give us better coverage while still limiting driftable fines. Weed control and on-target characteristics come top of mind. And then right now, of course, we're monitoring harvest results, starting to get that in from our cotton business and our early soybean harvest geographies more toward the south. Of course, it's best to harvest when we've got clean fields and nothing that's popped up above the canopy, and we've protected yields better by eliminating that weed competition.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Enlist Weed Control System.
Today through next Tuesday, Lumber Liquidators Flooring Yard Sale has over 400 floors on sale, up to 50% off. It's a sale so abundant that it literally cannot fit in our showroom and must spill out onto our parking lot. Or, for the sake of the metaphor, our yard. Or is it our driveway? Let's not get caught up in semantics. What's important here is that there are many, many floors on sale, up to 50% off. These are the floors homes are built on. Lumber Liquidators Flooring.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, an live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization, and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Bright sunshine this afternoon with highs around 61. Winds out of the southeast 10 to 15 miles per hour. 46 tonight, mainly cloudy skies expected. A blend of clouds and sun. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 70. Chance for scattered rain showers Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. Highs in the mid-60s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 63.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. December corn up 3 cents at $3.94 3/4. March up 3 at $4.06 1/2. May up 3 at $4.12 3/4. July up 3 cents at $4.17 3/4. November soybeans up 3 1/2 at $9.31 1/2. January up 3 cents at $9.45 1/4. March up 2 1/2 at $9.57. May up 2 at $9.65 1/4. December wheat closed up 12 1/4 at $5.25 1/2. Soybean meal up $2 a ton at $3.0680. October live cattle up a nickel at $112.40. December up 50 cents at $114.37. October feeder cattle down $102 at $144.20. November down $160 at $144.32. December lean hogs down $2.47 at $68.15. February down $1.20 at $77.65. From the Alpha Media Farm Desk, I'm Dwayne Murley.
The demand for CBD products from hemp is growing, but what should consumers look for on the label? I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Tim O'Brien is with Apple Wellness in Wisconsin, where they sell CBD products derived from hemp. There are multiple companies making those products, and the list keeps growing. So what should you look for on the label?
QR codes are good. If there's not a QR code, bringing you to the certificate of analysis, checking out their website, ensuring that what they say is in the label is actually in the product. There is a lot of struggles. It's the Wild West out there. FDA does not control this industry, and we need to make sure that there is label and product integrity. Sourcing is huge. Price point is big. Cannabinoid content, terpene-rich products. So if you cannot figure out all the details, try to work with a company that you can trust.
O'Brien recommends not falling for outlandish claims on CBD products.
There's bad synthetic CBD oils out there. There's good, better, best. There's the label will say it has 10 milligrams of CBD, and then it has 2 milligrams. But because there's not certificate of analysis and nobody controlling it, the consumer loses out in the end. So I think it's important for companies to take it on themselves to pay the extra money to have it third-party tested, proving to themselves, the consumers, and the world that it is quality.
People are using CBD products to reduce pain, stress, anxiety, and other symptoms. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year, illegally. Poaching is just one of the risks animals face at our hands. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor. I grew up in the beautiful rural countryside of Ohio, where animals roamed freely in the open forests. I have a deep concern to help preserve those open spaces for our wildlife friends so they can live and thrive like they used to. Destruction of their habitats threaten their very existence. The best way to protect wildlife is to protect the land where they live. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats, and establish permanent sanctuaries. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE. Or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
We are the land of the free because of the brave. Alpha Media and Graham Tire want to thank our local military men and women for their service. Our Wall of the Brave is currently displayed at Graham Tire of Fort Dodge. We invite you to stop out to Graham Tire and sign the wall as a show of support for our military. This special veterans promotion is sponsored by Graham Tire of Fort Dodge, Farm Nutrients, Advanced Heating and Cooling, River Valley Winery and Orchards, the Co-op Bar and Grill, and Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it and within 30 minutes you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Dispatch, medevac air transport to St. Luke's. Patient transfer. Roadways blocked by snow.
When minutes matter, and the ER is too far away, air emergency care could save your life. But insurance companies don't count your minutes, they count your money. Tell your member of Congress to fight the insurance companies.
Paid for by Alliance for Access to Critical Care.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I'm sneaky, but I'm always right. It's been proven scientifically at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, where we welcome to the program once again Larry Baker from Iowa City. How you doing, Larry?
Michael, you know, it's always a treat just to hear your voice.
I know that, Larry. I know that. Larry, of course, as I mentioned, is from Iowa City, where they do not allow conservatives or some kind of city-county ordinance. So, isn't there some sort of city-county ordinance preventing anyone who ever had a conservative thought from living in the People's Republic of Iowa City?
Well, you know, I served 2 terms on the city council, and I tried every year to get that law passed, but just couldn't make it work. No, I'm sorry. We still let them in, but we watch them all the time.
They can shop, but then they have to get out of town.
Absolutely. We want their money.
Yeah. Well,
Michael. You know, I just figured out what your area code 515.
Yes.
That's the same area code where I get all of those weird phone calls with people trying to sell me, you know, CPAP machines or respirators or wheelchairs. It's every con in the world has a 515 area code.
So the problem with that is, I thought we were just selling Viagra, but all right, if you want to go with that, I'm sure that's the case. I mean, we're in the congressional 4th district, you know, where the average age is 87. Anyway, Larry Baker.
My peeps, as they say.
Yeah, your peeps. Yeah. I'm a young fella here. Larry and I, of course, paid attention to the Democratic Party debate the other night, and I was shocked, Larry, and I want to share this with you. I was shocked that we asked questions about Ellen sitting in a box with George W. Bush watching a football game, as if that somehow is something on everybody's mind. And there were no questions about securing the border, the effects of illegal immigration on our country, and especially the working class, or any number of hot-button items dealing with foreign policy. It seemed like a silly debate run by silly people, and a couple of the candidates, of course, were really silly.
Well, I sat there throwing socks at the TV screen all night long. You watched all 3 hours, I'm sure, like I did.
Oh, yeah.
And when they got to that last question, man, I just wanted to say, who was it? Anderson Cooper or somebody asked that stupid question. And I thought, Jesus God, how much do they pay you people to come up with the lamest, silliest, most inane and unproductive? You got valuable airtime here, and you wasted 12 candidates, a minute apiece, the last 12 minutes on a Sesame Street question? Come on.
Well, they don't want it to be an academic lecture. That's what they're trying to stay away from. They don't want to make people feel like they're sitting in a great hall somewhere getting some dry lecture from Professor Blimp. You know, they want to jazz it up a little bit. And I understand that.
They want a car wreck on, they want the train to hit the car on the stage so they can be there with film.
Sure.
And I blame them. I blame the DNC for putting 12 people on the stage at one time.
Oh, isn't that terrible?
Dumbest damn idea. I blame the DNC for letting certain people on that stage. And you're right. The questions were inane, and I've made it a point that one of the first rules for the next debate is they cannot ask any question that has been asked in a previous debate, period. And they can never ask any question which invokes the name of any celebrity whatsoever.
Well, if you count President Obama as a celebrity, he gets named all the time. He gets named all the time.
That's only because Joe Biden made him a successful president.
Well, he did, as a matter of fact, and Elizabeth Warren tagged Joe Biden so hard right in the nads with that, I want to thank President Obama for all the votes that he got me, because Biden was trying to take credit for I got you votes on this and pointing his finger in Elizabeth Warren's face about her Consumer Protection Act and all this stuff. But man, she rapped him hard.
Yeah, Biden made it very clear, he's the only person on that stage who's ever accomplished anything. And therefore, you people are wasting my time. I just talked to Hillary. She's right. Just give me the nomination, and I'll go out and lose this thing for you. Come on.
Well, again, Hillary's thinking. I'm sure Hillary's just chomping at the bit to get back in. You know she is.
Well, between her and Michael Bloomberg.
Bloomberg, I've heard, is looking at it, and what's he got to lose? He's worth about $4 billion. So what if he blows $5 million on a presidential campaign that goes nowhere?
Him and Tom Steyer can get in the shower together for all I care and just bathe in their money.
You and all this gay imagery, I forgot to mention, ladies and gentlemen, my friend Larry Baker here is struggling with a late life attraction to Pete Buttigieg, and it's really overwhelming him at times. Because please don't put me in a visual where I got to get with Tom Steyer and Mike Bloomberg in a shower. Okay, that's because Tom Steyer just came off as just a mean little man. Hi, I'm a mean little billionaire, and if you elect me, I'm going to do mean things to people because I don't like them.
Well, I kept looking. It's like, Tom, why are you there? You don't even know why you're there.
Vanity.
Oh, sure, and the Democrats could use a few $1 billion here and there to help elect some senators to actually get some work done in this country, as opposed to just talking about it. And that's the other thing that drove me crazy about every candidate up there. They all talked about, I will do this, I will do that. When I am elected, I will do this. Unless they get a Democratic Senate, they're not doing squat.
That's right. That's just empty political talk. There really should be a law against it. Mark Zuckerberg took a stand yesterday on free speech, and he said he will not censor all the information, a lot of it complete garbage that's on Facebook, because he believes in freedom of speech. And I kind of tend to agree with him. I'm very leery of any government entity, Republican, conservative, liberal, Democrat, from laying their fat little hands on the First Amendment,
And see, this is where I thought Kamala Harris made herself look very foolish, trying to attack Elizabeth Warren for not signing on to Harris's demand that Trump be taken off of Twitter.
That was so dumb. Kamala Harris is a very attractive person in a number of ways, and that's what it takes to be a president, frankly. And I thought about that just the other night when Governor Reynolds was here in town. Governor Reynolds is wow, she's good looking. I'll tell you, she has great legs.
You're kidding.
Oh no, Governor Reynolds is a very attractive woman. She really is. And in the television and media age, that means something. Very soon, we will not be electing ugly politicians in the future.
Michael, I
Yes.
just realized this conversation is going off the rails right now.
Oh no, it isn't. This is the way I usually talk. What I'm trying to say is Kamala Harris has great gifts. She's charming. She's a very attractive woman. She's brilliant. She can articulate. Great communicator. And especially she can make you feel as if she's speaking just to you, which was Bill Clinton's great skill.
But she has no discipline.
Boy, I'll tell you, that was a dumb remark. I was very disappointed in her.
And as much as you make fun of my man, Pete had a great night.
You thought Pete? Well, you would have thought Pete had a great night if he showed up drunk and disheveled. But he did seem to be the most reasonable person there. And I was looking for reasons to ridicule Pete to you.
I know. I hate to disappoint you.
I know. He really blew me out of the water there, and it didn't happen. But yeah, Bernie still looks like your old. And I was a Bernie guy in 2016.
So was I.
These are the only people who are talking about the economy. We're talking about oh gosh, Elizabeth Warren isn't transparent with her plans and what other stupid complaints were out there? Just I can't think of anything I learned.
No, you didn't. And the best debate, and they'll never have it, is to get 4 candidates at a table with a camera on each side of them, with no moderator, and let them ask each other questions and answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. But I'm not going to let you off the hook. And listen, we got to finish up on this attractive person thing because
I agree with you. John Kennedy was great.
Oh yeah, he was our first real television president. Lyndon Johnson used to complain to not newspaper reporters, but TV reporters. He'd rage at them. You're the guys who screwed everything all up. You put us all on camera and made us look foolish. You're the ones. You're screwing up the country. Because Lyndon Johnson, despite his reputation as a womanizer, was not a real attractive dude.
No, but power is attractive. You know that. You and I, Michael, we're very powerful people. We know that the ladies are drawn to us.
No, there's a reason. There's a reason I'm on radio. I have the perfect face for radio. No.
And there's a reason you never invite me over to the studio to be on your YouTube.
You are hereby cordially invited at any time. You may come to Fort Dodge. I got a seat for you and a microphone. It's right there. You can come at any time you wish.
Okay. Can I wear my Pete Buttigieg button?
Yeah, just don't wear anything else that Pete wouldn't.
Well, okay.
Okay.
You better get used to Pete being around a long time.
Well, frankly, Pete he has a lot of great plans, but he's just not ready to be president.
He's not ready to be president.
No.
So, I hear this all the time, and I'm going to get I had one guest opinion published recently in a newspaper. I've got another one coming in the newspaper next month on this very question of age and experience and who's ready and who's not ready. People say, I love Pete, except I wish he was 5 years older. Oh, I love Pete, except I wish he had served a term in the Senate or a governor or something. Have you noticed there have been governors and senators and congressmen running for president this year for the Democratic Party, and they didn't make it to that stage this week, did they?
No, Pete, but I'll tell you, we had one amateur politician recently who is president right now, and I think we're paying the price.
Wait a minute. You're talking about Trump?
Trump, yes, that would be Trump.
You're comparing Trump to Pete?
Well, their level of experience, yes. I mean, Trump.
No.
Trump could point to his business experience in New York City, which is a tough place to do business, and he did point to this during his campaign. Look, I'm a tough New York business guy, and that's my experience. Well, there were 17 Republican candidates for the nomination in 2016. Never thought he'd win. He did, and he won the presidency. But he never should have. I mean, this was some kind of freak of nature. But Buttigieg is the mayor of a relatively small city. He's 7 years old?
Let me say, Obama was 2 years in the state Senate, 2 years in the U.S. Senate.
That's right.
That's it. And he's a pretty good president. He wasn't an A-plus president, but he was a solid B president. I mean, I thought he did a good job considering the Republican Party, opposition.
President Obama had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate his first 2 years.
And he got some things done.
He did.
Now, the whole thing with Pete is you don't measure things on paper. You look at the person as that person is right now. Thomas Jefferson was 33 when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Madison was 36. Hamilton was 37. These people advanced because of their intelligence and their backgrounds and their maturity.
No.
You're equating age with maturity. You're equating experience with maturity and demeanor and thought process and critical thinking.
See, Larry, it's my turn to be amazed now. Now you're comparing Pete Buttigieg to Alexander Hamilton. Take a pill. Smoke a joint, my God.
Are you reading that book I told you to read? The Plain Honest Man?
I have it sitting right next to my chair, and I picked it up, yes, but I have not got through it.
Okay, well, but you're into it.
Yes.
Okay, and here's one of the things that, I don't know whether it's early in the book or later, it comes out. Half the people at the Constitutional Convention were under the age of 40.
They were revolutionaries. People only lived to be 40 in those days.
They had military experience, and they had state government experience. Pete running a city with 100,000 people, I'll take that over being a U.S. Senator for 2 years any day of the week.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you're comparing Pete to a time 250 years ago, a mainly rural area.
Right.
And they were really fighting for a different type of independence than we know now.
Okay, so what you're saying to me is, let's take those guys that were really good back then, bring them today, and then dismiss them.
Well,
they wouldn't be any good today.
Are you taking drugs? I don't know how we can bring people from the past to the present.
Well, but you're making these comparisons. You're saying you're discounting Pete because he might have been good 250 years ago, but times have changed.
Now we're off the rails. Now we're off the rails. I think it's not fair to compare Donald Trump to Pete Buttigieg, and it's not fair necessarily to compare Pete Buttigieg to the Founding Fathers based on their age.
Compare Pete to Barack Obama?
Would I compare Pete to? Oh, he doesn't. See, you know how you liberals are. You people were so full of self-love for electing or nominating an African American to the Democratic Party's presidential ticket, and then after he was elected, you swooned with self-love. I mean, oh my God, look at the progress we have made. Okay. Oh God. Okay. And I can't take anything away from Barack Obama because he had extraordinary political skills. He did.
Right. How do you think Pete's gotten where he is now, except for political skills?
I don't think that Pete has the political. In fact, I don't. Let me say this: Pete does not have the political skills of Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a relatively young man when he was elected president, but he does not have those sort of skills. He does not have that skill set.
Have you ever seen Pete work a crowd?
No, I don't go to his rallies. I think he was here in town not long ago. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I don't.
Or at a town hall meeting.
The Democrats don't want to see me coming too bad. I talk about them pretty bad on the air every now and then, and if I show up at
every
one
now
of
and
then. Hey, listen, I'm a Roosevelt Democrat. You people went on. The Clintons changed the Democratic Party. They made him.
We had this. Am I disagreeing with you?
No.
I absolutely agree with you.
So anyway, when the Clintonites and the Obamanites, who think they're Democrats, see me coming now, they accuse me of being a number of isms, sexist.
But you're supporting Elizabeth Warren.
What's that? I do. I supported
you're
Bernie
left-
the last time. You know, and let's remember what happened with Bernie Sanders in 2016. The DNC actively worked undercover to defeat him and push forward Hillary Clinton, who the country hated.
Michael, we're not going off the rails here. We've just run these tracks before.
That's all right, buddy.
No, so let's go back to the debate here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the winners and losers. Pete was obviously a winner.
Pete was one of the winners of the debate.
Elizabeth, actually, for all the flack that she caught, she did great.
I thought so. Yeah, she cracked Joe Biden. I really thought that was one of the great on-air shots I've ever seen. You know, why Biden didn't bend over at the waist and fall down, grabbing himself, I have no idea. Because he just got smacked.
Any self-respecting woman Democrat just ought to be slapping Joe Biden.
Yeah. Oh, really? Absolutely. Well, Joe's part of that. He's got that Frank Sinatra booze and babes thing about him. You're old enough to remember that phrase. You know,
sure.
and it's an anachronistic phrase I use. But that's every time I see Joe Biden, it's like he's got a martini in one hand and Sinatra in the background, and he's hitting on women. You know, that's my. You know,
and he's saying, you know, Elizabeth, you did a really good job for the job you had.
I mean,
which means
yeah, flunky. You were a flunky. You were my flunky. You know.
And I think Bernie is an inspiration because hell, heart attack, and a couple of weeks later he's on stage with everybody else giving him hell.
But that takes him out of the game. We're not going to vote for Bernie because he's 79 years old and had a heart attack. Come on.
He's you're absolutely right. Whether his people admit it or not, everybody else is going to flock somewhere else, probably to Warren.
That's probably to Warren is absolutely correct. But you know, the big Democratic Party donors don't want Warren. They're afraid they'll lose money, and that's what these elections are all about: money and power. I mean, that's what Hillary Clinton sold the Democrats in 2016. That she'd brought all this money and all these votes to the Democratic Party, and they owed her, and they put her forth. She was going to be a legacy candidate, the first woman. Blah blah blah, and this guy beat her.
You'll make my point here, which is when you get down close to the Iowa caucus, it's really going to be a two-person race: Warren and Buttigieg.
You could be right. How about Amy Klobuchar? I have a female friend who just loves her.
Well, here's the thing: I like Amy, and I wrote her off as dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, you know,
why do you like her?
Why do I like her? Because she's low key, strong enough. You know, she's a nice left of center Democrat. She would make a great VP for somebody.
How about Kamala?
Kamala would make a great attorney general. Well, what are you laughing?
Well, you know, that would be the position the position I would not put Kamala in. I'll tell you.
Really? Why not?
Well, she'd start throwing everybody in jail. I mean, she really would. She'd bring back firing squads and everything. I mean, Kamala's a little bit too tough for that position. She really is. I don't care.
Well, what about Warren as Secretary of Treasury?
Warren as Secretary of Treasury?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Warren as president. There, you sexist. But if you want to get Pete in there just because he's gay, I suppose that's all right.
Oh, that's it.
That's
the
it.
only reason to support Pete is because he's gay. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me. So stop doing it, Larry. For crying, you and your pals down there in Iowa City, knock it on. Well, we got to put a gay guy in there. We got to put a gay guy in there. It says so much about us.
Oh, Michael.
Hi, we're liberals. We got to put a gay person or a minority in there so we can increase our self-love. I mean, calm down. Let's get some competent person in there who can actually make our lives better and make the country better.
What did you think about the exchange between Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Buttigieg?
I think Tulsi Gabbard has a big future. Again, I don't want to hammer away on this, but people don't want to talk about the appearance factor. Tulsi is stunning, for one thing, and she has a look about her. If she fixes her gaze on you, that is a laser gaze. It'll melt somebody. You know, I don't know how Buttigieg survived it. He did, but
he almost became straight. I know.
Yeah, he nearly did. But she gave the two best looks of the night were Kamala Harris looking at Tulsi Gabbard, who looked right back. I mean, wow! Those
You were going to yell, "Get a room," right?
Oh, well, no. Don't be a pervert now. No, I mean, that is.
He said for the man who is obsessed with the gayness of another candidate, don't be a pervert.
I'm not obsessed. I have never said a thing about Pete Buttigieg and his sexuality. I have merely commented that you are coming to a late life realization, and I'm okay with it. I'm woke. Oh yes, I'm so woke, and I feel so much better about myself because I'm accepting you for being gay in late life. What?
Michael.
Yes.
Tulsi and Pete got into an essential question that that they didn't really cover in the debate, which is America's position in the world.
Yes, great. That was a great exchange.
Yeah, and she oversimplified Pete. Pete ignored her. It went into the whole thing about the Kurds and the Syrians, which is absolutely correct. Here's the nasty little truth that no American politician can tell the American people, is that you don't want Americans, you don't want to be the second greatest power in the world. That your standard of living, your position of affluence and comfort in this world requires that you be the most powerful country in the world. If for no other reason, to make sure that the dollar is the standard of exchange. And it's going to require that America do some things that really are not very nice. And,
wow. What would that be, Larry?
How about have troops in a lot of different countries?
Oh, yeah. I always thought that we should go to the Middle East and essentially seize control of the oil facilities. And if somebody didn't like it, we'd drop all our bombs on them. There you go.
I think you missed my point, Michael.
I think I probably did, but I thought my point was more dead on.
I forgot. Your point was more truthful because you were the doctor.
I'm the doctor of truth. That's absolutely. Larry Baker's been our guest. Thank you so much for being on, Larry.
My pleasure always.
All right. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Councilman Nevin Conrad is coming up at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
This is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers, and you can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
This is a Fox News alert. A resignation planned at the White House on Lisa Brady. U.S. Energy Secretary Rick Perry plans to step down. Just getting word from AP that he shared this on Air Force One while traveling with the president to an event in Texas today. Perry has been under scrutiny over his role in the president's dealings with Ukraine. The White House Chief of Staff also under scrutiny. Fox's John Decker at the White House.
In comments that caught the Justice Department by surprise, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney asserted that Ukraine's cooperating in an ongoing investigation with our Justice Department was connected to aid money being withheld.
So you're saying the President of the United States, the chief law enforcement person, cannot ask somebody to cooperate with an ongoing public investigation into wrongdoing? That's just bizarre to me that you would think that you can't do that.
Mulvaney also appeared to undercut the president's denial of a quid pro quo when he told reporters that military aid to Ukraine was held back in part to prod Ukraine to investigate Democrats.
Mulvaney referring specifically to the 2016 election and an investigation into the origins of the Russia probe. President Trump says Turkey did the right thing, agreeing to a ceasefire in Syria.
I think it had to be an unconventional solution.
Suggesting it might not have happened if Turkey hadn't invaded northern Syria and started attacking the Kurdish forces there.
Everybody agreed to things that 3 days ago they would have never agreed to.
Turkey invaded northern Syria after President Trump pulled U.S. troops back. Vice President Mike Pence announcing that Turkey will now give the Kurds 5 days to safely pull out of the area after meeting for several hours today with Turkey's president in Ankara. The U.S. Senate, though, plans to move ahead on a new bipartisan sanctions bill in case Turkey doesn't follow through. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
A moment of silence in the U.S. House, stunned by the sudden death of a longtime statesman.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called Maryland Democrat Elijah Cummings her brother in Baltimore. Both were born and raised in that city.
He lived the American dream, and he wanted it for everyone else.
Cummings was the son of sharecroppers, growing up to serve first in the Maryland State House, then the United States Congress, becoming the chairman of the powerful House Oversight Committee.
He just fought to the end, but that's the way he was, not only on his personal health, but what he believed in the Congress of the United States.
Cummings died early this morning. He was 68 years old. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Trump had feuded publicly with Cummings, but praised him in a tweet earlier today. Flags at the White House and the Capitol are at half-staff in his honor. Facebook, taking heat at times for what stays or goes on the platform, says it's trying to strike a balance. The CEO giving a speech at Georgetown University today.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says in times of political tension, people want to pull back on free speech, and that backfires.
While I certainly worry about an erosion of truth, I don't think most people want to live in a world where you can only post things that tech companies judge to be 100% true.
However, he says they draw the line at posts that incite violence, terrorist propaganda, and bullying. He said they have found a better way to combat fake news and misinformation.
And that is focusing on the authenticity of the speaker rather than trying to judge the content itself.
He says they remove billions of fake accounts a year and now have a security team of 35,000 people. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
The tentative agreement reached yesterday in the GM strike still awaiting a vote by rank-and-file union members. The UAW says the walkout will continue until the proposed contract is ratified. Lisa Brady, this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization. and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Bright sunshine this afternoon with highs around 61. Winds out of the southeast 10 to 15 miles per hour. 46 tonight, mainly cloudy skies expected. A blend of clouds and sun. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 70. Chance for scattered rain showers Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. Highs in the mid-60s. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 63.
You work hard, and you deserve to get the most for your money. Like health insurance coverage with the largest, most accessible networks, so you can choose where you want to go for care. Like having multiple plans, so you can choose the coverage that works best for you. Mostly, you deserve to have the health insurance expertise Iowans have been trusting for over 80 years. Wellmark Blue Cross and Blue Shield. To find the small business or individual plan that's right for you, talk to your local agent about Wellmark today. Get started at Walmart.com.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. It's a fancy title for a part-time job. Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're going to talk with City Councilman Nevin Conrad in just a minute. Who do I have on the phone here?
Well, you've got the Big Ed from Georgia.
Big Ed from Georgia. It is a rare pleasure to be talking to you, sir. And I'm delighted. Are you in Iowa?
No, I'm back in Georgia now, but I just wanted to see how the Truth Doctor was holding up. There's been a lot of fake news, and I was worried about you.
Oh, have no fear. I'm keeping it real. I'm still the Doctor of Truth, and all's right in the world, Ed. You have no reason for concern whatsoever.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know you're busy. I just wanted to call in and say hi to you. And maybe I can call back tomorrow when you got a few minutes.
Oh, I'd say around 3:30 would be a great time.
3:30 Iowa time tomorrow.
3:30 Iowa time tomorrow would be a great time.
I'll do my best.
Thank you very much. All right, that's
go
Big
Hawks
Ed.
And go Cyclones.
There you go. Thank you very much, Ed. All right, take care of yourself. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Our friend Big Ed from Georgia, who proudly wears his MAGA hat. And he's big enough so not many people take it off his head. But that is a real American there, Councilman Conrad.
What you don't see on the radio is how excited Mike got when he found out who was on the phone.
Oh, he's one of my great all-time call-in guests. He really is. I've had him in here with Nevin Mulholland and talking about liberals and conservatives and on and on and on and on. And, oh yeah, Ed. I even have a picture of Nevin with Ed somewhere. I should find that and put it out. Anyway, Nevin Conrad is one of the council people we have, the council at large people we have, and he is running for re-election. So we're going to have Nevin on a couple of times, and of course we offer equal time to his opponent, Melvin Newsom. I do have a question for you, and it concerns broadband. We are going to have this evening at the Friendship Haven Celebration Center. We're going to have an open forum to talk about, or preliminary talks from what I understand, as to what way forward we should pursue as a city when it comes to broadband. Should the city build its own broadband? Should we be in partnership with a private firm like Mediacom? And there are other issues to discuss. Now, I would... what is that? No. For crying out loud. What did my phone is talking to me. No, calm down over there. Anyway, Councilman Conrad, what do you think about broadband and what we're doing now?
So my feeling on broadband is that for the past years in general, primarily the three main things that you hear the citizens of Fort Dodge talk about are infrastructure, the needs for repairs for infrastructure, the mall area, and the dilapidation of that area, and then it's frequently gone back to internet service.
Certainly.
And that has always been private industry, and so I can't speak for the rest of the council, but when this got brought up, we moved to put it on the ballot, and I think that's the way this should be. This is full transparency. If a municipal broadband was set up, it would be extremely expensive. That is
in the short term.
Yes.
We could afford it, though.
Yes, and that will be, it is not this Monday, but the following Monday, broadband's going to be on the workshop too. And so if you're not able to go tonight.
The workshop of the council.
Yep. If you're not able to go tonight, which I encourage you to do so, make a well-informed decision when this comes up. Learn more about it tonight, or come to the council meeting. If you can't come to the council meeting, I'm sure you'll be talking about it. I'm sure the newspaper
you can
carry
depend
it too.
on that.
And so I'm interested as a private citizen too, because I'm going to vote on this as well, and I want to make sure I got an idea of cost. Is this going to be sustainable long term? There's a lot of questions that come into play. I think it's an area that needs addressed. I don't know what the end solution is, whether that's a municipal broadband, whether that's existing companies reinvesting and making the service better here, or if it's a combination of a city partnership with a third-party entity, MediaCom, WMTel, whoever it might be.
So you feel very strongly both ways, or what?
I'm just kind of sitting on the fence on this. On a personal level,
how do you feel about the broadband service that you have?
That I have on a personal level, I'm happy with my internet, and I think.
Are you happy with the cost to value ratio?
No, I'm not happy with cost. I think cost is through the roof. But again, I don't know enough about it to know what is a good average cost. I know what people in the county pay for some of their stuff, and that's a very reasonable cost, and they get good service. But sitting out there looking at my private residence, I have MediaCom. It works fantastic at my house.
Mm-hmm.
A few disruptions. At my parents' old house back in high school, we had Frontier, and that area was just a dead pocket for Frontier. It was terrible. But you go around town, MediaCom has strong spots, weak spots, so does Frontier. And I think the citizens of Fort Dodge want consistency. It doesn't have to be the best speed in the world, but give us consistency at a good level.
I would like to have us have a broadband service that's responsible to the needs of the customers and the people of Fort Dodge. I think MediaCom is too big a company. It's remote, it's distant, and at times indifferent to the people of Fort Dodge because they do have a huge coverage area.
Oh, yeah.
And I think their services, for what it delivers, I think it's too much. And I'll tell you a quick. I know there's going to be a MediaCom person at this forum tonight, and that's good.
I think there's two of them.
Two. Well, I haven't made any secret of this, so I'll give you an update. I'll give the MediaCom people an update. On Thursday, I got a service upgrade for MediaCom television. The next day, my channels were scrambled, and it was just a complete mess. I called MediaCom, who said, be home between 8 and 12 on Monday. So I was there. Now, I had to be home between 8 and 12 on Thursday to get the upgrade service in the first place.
Yep.
So 8 to 12 again on Monday to fix the service that was installed on Thursday. Guess what happened? I got the television fixed, but I lost internet service. So guess what happened? I had to be home today between 8 and 4. That's 12 hours in just a few days. I have to wait around for some faraway company to send some guy from out of town to tell me again that the amplifier out on my pole hasn't been upgraded because the amplifier costs $50,000. And MediaCom would just as soon like to see the amplifier quit altogether rather than spend the money and replace one that's a little weak. I mean, the guy today didn't tell me that, but others in the past have told me exactly the same thing. And I was, I hope the entire evening isn't tied up with stories like that, because we have too many stories around town just like that. I think a local broadband service would be much more responsive.
And that is, so whatever happens on November 5th, and again, assuming that I'm lucky enough to get reelected, we move on from there. And if it's a yes vote, then we look at, is it municipal owned? Do we do some sort of partnership? But at the end result needs to be, regardless of the vote, regardless of the outcome, is that the citizens of Fort Dodge deserve a consistent, good, reliable service. And if it is a municipal run, then we have to commit the city to managing costs, making sure that those who are on it, that those sustain the cost of the program, and any extras above that cost need to stay with that utility to manage improvements and maintenance of the system and not go to a different fund. They need to stay with that system so we can keep those costs low for the service. All right.
Nevin Conrad is our guest. He's running for re-election to the city council as a council at large. You mentioned the Crossroads. We had a pitched battle here about 10 years ago that I was part of to get a crosstown connector out to the shopping area. Now the shopping area has fallen apart. Who sees this great mothership of Amazon coming over the horizon to destroy local shopping in our town? But the whole idea with that crosstown connector was to inspire more people to shop in our retail area, and we would then use the local option sales tax money to repair our streets.
Yep.
Not working out that well.
Yeah, and with the mall area, and I mean, you see the investment that we've done in the Fifth Avenue South corridor.
Of course.
That directly transpired to a raise in those local option sales tax dollars that go to the streets. And so the hope is with the potential for improvements or redevelopment at the mall that we would then be able to drive retail. And I think the approach isn't that we search to fill the JCPenney's, to fill the Yonkers stores, because retail's changing, the economy's changing, and I think we take the approach that Buffalo Wild Wings did. Have that option available. Do it in a smaller footprint. Do it in a footprint that will maintain in a community our size. We're not a Des Moines. We can't have these huge, big retail stores. That just won't work in the retail economy today. But if we can shrink it down in terms of the footprint, in terms of the overhead costs for these companies, then it all depends, store to store. But hopefully that is a dynamic that will work and fit into a potential improvement or redevelopment of the area around the mall.
I noticed something the other night at the Iowa Central debate that featured not only you, Melvin Newsom, Andy Fritz, Councilman Flattery, Richard Higgins, and I'm sorry, I can't.
Justin Myers.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, nobody up there seemed to like parking meters. Nobody, but we still have them. So, and this, my stance on this has not changed. It was brought up 3 years ago, and it ended up getting tabled, and it has not come back from that point. The current layout that we have is technically still a pilot program. It's been a pilot program for a very long time, long pilot. But I've always viewed this as you either expand it to the downtown or you remove them in their entirety, because as it sits, it is not fair to that small pocket of downtown for them to have that inconvenience of parking meters to support the parking improvements and the maintenance and the operations of parking meters. So as it sits, I just do not believe there's the support out there for the parking meters. And as such, if we're not going to expand it, then they need to go. And the downside of that is the funds for parking lot improvements and parking enforcement are going to have to come from somewhere. We're going to have to take a look at that. But as it sits, if the vote were held today, my vote would be to remove those parking meters. Kevin Doty was a big supporter, as is the mayor. Kevin, of course, retired, and I've asked Roger Porter about it, who doesn't seem to get too excited about parking meters.
Yeah.
I do want to talk to you about crime in our city. It's been an outrage what has happened in the last month. We're still reeling from the death of Pastor Henderson. We had a shooting the day after in the St. Edmund neighborhood. Nobody knows what happens.
Block away from my son's preschool classroom.
Isn't that wonderful? We had a man in a house behind Tom Thumb murdered. That was Friday evening, I bet, and they picked up his suspected killer in southeastern Georgia on Sunday afternoon. Now, that's remarkable that he was able to be transported, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Somebody transported him out of Dodge.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're talking about is a criminal element in our town, and something needs to be done about it.
I completely agree. And this has, I mean, it's not a new problem, but given the events, especially of the past few months, it has become an incredibly frustrating problem. And I have sat and I have stewed about this. I've talked to other council members. I've talked to other community members about what options are out there. And I think from a council perspective, every single option has to be on the table. You cannot categorically exclude any option at this moment. We have to do something. And I've had productive meetings. I met with Roger yesterday for lunch, and we discussed potential options. And I've talked to other individuals specifically about the ever elusive topic of mental health. All options are out there. From a council side of things, I think we sit down and we look at how do we get some funding. We need to make some room from the council side to make sure that we have cameras. We start downtown. We focus on hotspots. We get cameras out there, because as it sits, the most frustrating part of this, and I touched a little bit on the forum, and I'll try to keep my cool on this, but it's an emotional topic, because, like you said, the shooting outside the school, my son was sick that day, thankfully, but someone fires that shot. What if it goes and hits the lady in the adjacent apartment sitting in her living
quite
room?
Easily could have happened.
What if it goes across the street and hits the senior citizen in the Marion home? Or what if that bullet flies down the street, goes into my son's classroom where him and his preschool classmates are working on shapes and letters?
Of course.
It's ridiculous. And
nobody knows.
Nobody talks. In my point of this is, I don't care if you saw somebody shoplift. I don't care if you saw these other minute little things. But when innocent people's lives are at stake, when my son and his classmates in their preschool classroom are at risk because some idiots are shooting a block away, that's a problem. And every citizen of this town has a moral obligation and a moral duty to protect innocent lives, regardless of who they are. And it is their duty to cooperate and to work with law enforcement. And if they're not going to do that, well, then we just wire up this town. We put cameras out there, and we do everything we can to get them off the streets.
Well, there's an uncomfortable conversation for some that has to take place. There is within the black community a criminal element who insists that anyone who cooperates with the police is in trouble. And as a matter of fact, any other African American person who cooperates with the police betrays the race. That's an uncomfortable conversation for some. For me, it's time that we addressed it.
And we need to make sure that with those people that cooperate, we give our full support and our full backing to make sure that they are kept safe and they feel comfortable coming forward.
What we're dealing with is a black separatist ideology. I have a poster in my office. I've had it here in this studio since I took this job 11 years ago, and it's of Malcolm X. And I had always admired Malcolm X because of his emphasis on the truth. Well, the truth is that something I didn't agree with Malcolm X about is he and Elijah Muhammad demanded a separate nation. And he really believed that police were intruders into African American neighborhoods. Now, this was a long time ago, and there was certainly a racist element in police departments. And they no doubt abused people and arrested people unnecessarily and perhaps illegally. But I think we're past that. I think we're dealing with something else now. We must govern our police force, and we must gain, I think all of us deserve cooperation from every neighborhood in town. And that message has to be put forward.
And that's one of the frustrating elements has been for me in a lot of times in elections, I like to focus on what are the differences. Hello, Mr. Fritz.
Hello.
And what really irked me is, and I'll just be straightforward with it, my opponent posted on Facebook that he would never be a snitch, he would never talk to the police, and then if it were in his court, he would basically take matters into his own hands.
That's black separatism, and I talked about it in regard to Melvin Newsom, who I like. I get a kick out of him and always have. But that is a black separatist notion that's very hostile not only to the police but to white people. Period. That's a racist. And believe me, I'm not trying to put words in Nevin Conrad's mouth or thoughts in his head. Yeah, I'm not. But I'm old enough to remember when these things came around, and I read about it a lot. And I've actually sat down and I don't know why people are afraid to talk with black people about these things, but I have. Many times. Hey, what about this? What do you think? They'll tell me. Sometimes it's things I don't want to hear, but they'll tell me.
Well, and that's the other part of it too. I don't know what his motivations behind that post were, but at the end of the day, you are running for an elected office where you oversee the police department.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of who you are, when you put your name out there, it comes with enhanced scrutiny of everything you say, and you have to realize that your words matter, your actions matter, or lack of actions matter, and that if you want to be a leader, you got to act like one.
I hate to think that Melvin did that to increase his chances of election, to spur voters who wouldn't ordinarily vote. I will be talking with Melvin about this if he wants to talk about it. Nevin, Andy Fritz, of course, is in the studio, and we're going to be talking with Andy in just a minute. Before you go, Nevin, what is your prime, I shouldn't say it that way, why do you think you should be reelected?
I think I should be reelected, and I hope over the past 4 years that the citizens of Fort Dodge know this of me. I approach every issue doing my due diligence. I spend my time going over all the information, talking to staff, doing my own research, and really voting on a common sense approach. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And I kind of took that from Andy when he previously served on council. Very common sense guy, and that's what it needs to be. And just approach every item with open ears, listen to the public, engage with the public, engage in civil conversations. So at the end of the day, regardless of where you stand, the citizens know they've been heard, even if you come out voting the opposite way.
What's the one thing you'd like to see accomplished in our town in the next 4 years?
In the next 4 years, other than continuing infrastructure improvements, I think that's a baseline thing. I would really like to see, one, the mall get addressed, but my kind of pet thing has been Riverfront. I think if we can make that Riverfront a destination, tie it into our downtown, we can do a lot of great things for both the downtown and the city as a whole.
We can get some tourism there.
Yes, hopefully.
Nevin, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
Nevin Conrad is running for council at large. I should say he's running for re-election. It's 4:30 at AM 1400 KVFD.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, it's 4:31 now. It's 61 degrees, AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're going to do the news, and then we're going to hear from Andy Fritz, who was formerly a councilman and is running for Ward 2 councilman. And by the way, I invite his opponent. If he would like airtime, 20 minutes of airtime, he certainly got it. Anyway, news coming up next at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950 they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments, we would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes.
all of a sudden it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization, and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. First of all, in the weather, going to be sunny today, high 63, exactly where it is right now. Overnight partly cloudy with a low of 45. Tomorrow it'll be sunny with a high of 70. On Saturday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high of 66 degrees on Saturday. Sunny, a slight chance of rain with a high of 63. Monday, a chance of rain with a high of 53. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 52. And on Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 56. So that should make the farmers a little happier than they have been. We're going to have some decent weather and some wind to dry things out. And maybe they can get that crop out of the field. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucefuneralhome.com. Jane Thorson of Fort Dodge has died. Jane Thorson passed away on Tuesday at the Paula J. Baber Hospice Home here in Fort Dodge. There will be a celebration of the life of Jane Thorson, and that'll be held at 4 o'clock in the afternoon this Saturday here in town. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Andy Fritz is in the studio, and we'll talk with Andy about his campaign to be the Ward 2 City Councilman in just a couple of minutes.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks ending slightly higher, boosted after a round of generally upbeat corporate earnings results and a tentative agreement by the UK and European Union leaders on the terms of Britain's exit from the European Union. More than a tenth of the companies in the S&P 500 have reported results so far, and the numbers are mostly coming in ahead of analysts' expectations. With the Dow rising 24 points, NASDAQ up 33, S&P 500 up 8. And luxury chain Barney's New York inking a deal to sell its assets for over $271 million to Authentic Brands Group. That's a licensing company that owns multiple brands. Now, as part of the deal, the remaining 7 Barney's locations may be shuttered, though Authentic Brands intends to license the brand to Saks Fifth Avenue, a move that would preserve the luxury department store's name and prevent liquidation. Rival bids for Barney's may still emerge before the October 22nd deadline. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
You see them all around town. Cintas trucks and their service reps taking care of customers. When companies use Cintas, you know they're confident and ready. Cintas helps with their fire protection and first aid and safety programs, handles their apparel solutions, and helps keep their facility and restrooms clean and stocked. So you know those companies care about their employees, facilities, and image. When all those things work together, they're ready for business.
Oh, I'm ready!
Get Cintas and get ready for the workday.
Fall is in the air and the General Store is ready. Stop into the General Store today and see their full line of fall clothing, including hoodies, sweaters, coats, jackets, jeans, and more. And don't forget shoes and boots. You'll find the latest fall fashions for the whole family at the General Store. They can hook you up for Halloween, too, with tons of costume ideas and Halloween decor. And remember, everything at the General Store is always tax-free, and all proceeds go towards helping people in our community. The General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
We are the land of the free because of the brave. Alpha Media and Graham Tire want to thank our local military men and women for their service. Our Wall of the Brave is currently displayed at Graham Tire of Fort Dodge. We invite you to stop out to Graham Tire and sign the wall as a show of support for our military. This special veterans promotion is sponsored by Graham Tire of Fort Dodge, Farm Nutrients, Advanced Heating and Cooling, River Valley Winery and Orchards, the Co-op Bar and Grill, and Alpha Media Fort Dodge.
Dispatch, medevac air transport to St. Luke's. Patient transfer. Roadways blocked by snow.
When minutes matter, and the ER is too far away, air emergency care could save your life. But insurance companies don't count your minutes. They count your money. Tell your member of Congress to fight the insurance companies.
Paid for by Alliance for Access to Critical Care.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. We are going to tell the truth, make it matter. And we're never going to be boring. Live, local, and relevant talk radio from the corner of 2nd Avenue North and 10th Street right here in Fort Dodge. You can always join the program by calling 515-955-1400. We're on YouTube at 1400 KVFD and Facebook, AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We want to thank Nevin Conrad for coming in at the last moment. We also want to thank Andy Fritz for coming in at the last moment. You're frequently mistaken for Mark Crimmins, aren't you?
I am.
You guys look exactly alike.
I know it.
I know
it's a curse.
I saw Mark the other day and called him Andy. He got a little touchy. But
I understand.
Andy Fritz is running for Ward 2 City Council seat. He was previously a at-large city councilman. So what do you want back on the council?
I miss it. I miss being involved. I miss helping to shape the future of our community. And it's just time to get back into it.
How long were you on the council?
8 years.
8 years.
Yep, 2 terms.
All right. Okay, and you currently work where?
I am out at CJ Bio. I do human resources and recruiting for them.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're a lifelong Fort Dodger, went to St. Edmunds, right?
Yes, sir. 93.
Right. 93, class of 93. Oh, you were right behind Bemrick then.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year behind Bemrick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So what do you see? I asked Nevin Conrad this, and I'll kind of pretty much asked the same questions. First of all, your opponent works for Mediacom, and that's okay with me. I don't hold it against him. He works for Mediacom, for God's sake. I mean, anybody who's working, is all right with me. But it is a situation here in town, and I've kind of taken a position as far as broadband is concerned. And I would like to see broadband locally owned, city-owned broadband service. I don't think we get a big enough bang for our buck. Right. And obviously many others don't, or we wouldn't be having a discussion tonight at the Celebration Room at the Friendship Haven, which is at 6 o'clock, and I'll certainly get right out there. Are you going to go? Or?
It depends. I got to get my wife off of work, depending on what time she gets out. So.
Okay, well, I will certainly be there, and I would urge attendance. This is kind of an important thing. So what is your position on city-owned broadband, or should we be in a semi-private public partnership? Or
Right. I hope that on November 5th that the citizens go out and vote. Yes, for the future, looking into the broadband. From my understanding, we don't have any solid study back. There is a study that was done, I believe, that comes to the city on the 28th of October. So without having a lot of solid numbers, I can't say that it should be city-owned or that it should be a semi-partnership. With that being said, the internet in this town is horrible. Whether it's Mediacom or Frontier.
Pretty pricey too, isn't it?
It's real pricey. So I'm definitely open to the options that are being presented, whether it's the partnership, whether it's a city-funded municipal type utility.
Well, and I have to admit this is a little bit emotional. I've just had it. I'm ready to try city-owned broadband. I know Spencer. Smaller towns in our area, Spencer and Algona, have had their broadband city-owned for years, and people love it there. And most of all, if there's a problem, there's someone in the city who's responsible and responsive.
Right.
Mediacom's a big company.
They are.
And I think the other wireless provider, I think, is Direct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever had Direct, but and then there's Frontier, which is more of a land-based line, or landline-based service. We just need. I wish everyone would get in touch with someplace, Algona, Spencer, or whatever town has their own broadband, and ask people about broadband service, because most of these places have had other providers, private businesses from around the state, out of state, whatever. And they're much more satisfied with city-owned broadband. It's an expense.
It is an expense, and I think a lot of the conversation right now has been geared towards the residents. And I have spotty internet at my house, and I can't watch TV because it buffers. But we have to look at what it means for industry in the area. So many businesses rely on internet every day. I mean, emails and whether it's market conditions coming in for commodities or whatever the case may be. If they don't have solid internet and fast internet, they're already behind the game. And if we're going to bring new business to this area, we have to compete with the technology that other areas have.
I prepare for the show at home, and so I work from home a lot and I have a number of computers that I'm always searching for things to talk about on this program.
Yep.
And my internet service has gotten worse instead of better, actually. Yeah. And I have a whole long story that I could tell that I did tell Nevin that I'll wait until tonight to talk about it.
I heard that on the way in.
Oh, did
actually,
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big pain in the neck, and it's only one of many that I could tell.
Right.
And I'm sure that everybody in Fort Dodge, or close to everybody in Fort Dodge, has a similar story.
Yeah.
Of a pain in the neck. So are you in favor of a city-owned broadband, or do you need more information?
I'd like to have more information. I'm definitely not opposed to it. But again, with the numbers that are there, it's a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of infrastructure put in for the fiber optics and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But if financially it looks like it can work, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Something else that we have to talk about, and I talked about it with Nevin, and I will talk about it with Melvin Newsom, or your opponent. By the way, again, if Andy's opponent wants to get hold of us here at the radio station, schedule 20 minutes of airtime and make his case, that's fine. But something we have to talk about, no matter who's on the council, is our crime problem.
Yeah.
I'm still stunned, and a lot of people are, from the terrible death of Pastor Henderson. It appears that we certainly don't have enough mental health care, and Representative Meyer will be in tomorrow. But at the local level, we can't do any. Cities find it difficult to start their own mental health programs. We need help from the state for that.
Right.
But certainly we need to do something about crime at a local level.
Yeah.
Cameras have been suggested, greater outreach to communities in neighborhoods where some of the crime has happened. And I brought this up with Nevin, and I don't think it's out of bounds, that some in the African American neighborhood seem to have a black separatist idea of never cooperating with the police. Never. It's a betrayal of the race to the white guys or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful thing to try to turn around for a bunch of old white guys.
Right.
But the time to sit around and wring our hands is over with. I mean, do you have any suggestions, or where are you at on this?
Well, my thought, I talked with Joni Ernst, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. She was out at work, and that was one of the questions I asked was mental health. So many times we hear these mass shootings across the country, and people start claiming gun control. Well, it's not gun control. It's mental health. We have to look at that. The stigma has been there too long that mental health is a weakness, when in all actuality it's an illness. And we have to start looking at how we can realistically address the issue. Joni has mentioned that she would be willing to support grants from the federal government, working with the states, but it all starts at the local level. It takes the city council, the city manager, to work with the county, to work with the state, to secure that funding. I believe Cedar Rapids, I hadn't read the article today, but they secured some funding, I believe, for some mental health initiatives in their area. I believe that it was on the Gazette. We have to look at the same type of programs that others are using to get mental health, get some full-time beds in the community, get it, maybe not even Fort Dodge, in the region, where we can take people that are showing signs of violence, of self-harm, and put them in a bed and not in an emergency room for 8 hours, 12 hours, however long it needs to be.
Yeah, we don't. I'm sure Dr. Berryhill is retired. I mean, do we have a full-time psychiatrist in town anymore? No.
I don't believe we do.
Well, regardless, we need to take action. Mental health is certainly a part of it. And again, I'll talk with Representative Meyer about that tomorrow. I'm ready to go with cameras in certain high crime neighborhoods or troubled neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But where would, as soon as I say that, I know that in Nevin talked about it, in the St. Edmunds neighborhood, there were some lunatics shooting up the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's not a neighborhood specific problem. Sure, there are extremely high areas of crime. You live in one.
I do.
It's...
I get along with everybody.
Right.
I'm surprised that there's so much crime there, but there is.
Yeah. Is the answer cameras, city-owned cameras? That could be a good deterrent. I really support the police department's initiative to have homeowners register with the police department that have those doorbell cameras, security cameras on their homes. That's a great program, and I think everybody that has any kind of security camera needs to give the city of Fort Dodge access to that footage when there's been a crime in that area. So I think it has to start at the grassroots. It has to start with the homeowners giving up that footage as needed.
Are you suggesting that just the homeowners put up cameras, or should the city put up cameras as well?
I think we start with the homeowners. I really do.
Do we start and end with the homeowners?
That's a good place to start and end. And in the middle, yes, I think possibly in the downtown area for sure, you put some cameras up on street poles. In the high areas where there is a higher concentration, yes. Is it going to solve the problem over by St. Ed's where we had that incident? No, because that's not an identified hotbed of activity.
Neither is Tom Thumb.
No. And the problem is people are going to learn where these cameras are at if they're in these hotbeds. And things are going to migrate. So a neighborhood that maybe never had any real violent crime that crime may migrate to that neighborhood. And then what have we done to those neighbors? We've infected them with that virus. So I think the homeowners, we have to be the first step in the camera program. Let people know that there's not a safe spot in Fort Dodge for crime to happen, because there's always a camera looking at you.
That's the truth. I mean, if there's in going back to the tragedy of Pastor Henderson, that should wake us up. Yeah. I'm not an expert in the field. I'm not a law enforcement person. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm none of those things. But from what it appears, I'm bright enough to understand if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and looks like a duck, it's a duck.
Right.
So I'm thinking that we have a mental health problem and a homeless problem in our city. I'm going to be a little unfair to you, and I didn't think to ask Nevin this question. God bless Steve Rowe and his people over here at Beacon of Hope.
Yeah.
However, we have a lot of strange-looking people on the streets
Yes,
as
we
a
do.
result, and what happens apparently is people come from all over, and again, God bless a Christian missionary and his work. They can come from all over to seek shelter over here at Beacon of Hope, and they either leave on their own volition or they're kicked out for violating the rules,
Right.
and then they're here.
Yep.
And then we have a problem, because you talked about my neighborhood. Wow, there's a bunch of people over there
Yeah.
who are couch surfing a lot of times, or sleeping on people's porches, or anywhere.
Yep.
And they don't look like they're Harvard graduates. You know?
Right.
So what can we do?
That's a good question, Mike. Beacon does a great job. I think this really does, again, come back to the mental health. Part of the mental health is the substance abuse.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe a lot of these guys are struggling with those inner demons. If we had empty beds in the community that we could get these people, it might not be overnight, it might be a week or two, but have somebody evaluate this person, give them the mental health checkup that they need, and provide a way forward rather than just that person keep spinning in the mud.
You know, if we had a bed for them, that would be great. But what's to prevent them from leaving after they're, and back on the street? A lot of these folks like living in the street. That's their preferred method of living.
Right.
And when you're living on the streets, you're probably not working, and you're getting by on small crime, drug dealing, all those sort of things. In other words, it can cause a real problem in our town.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. I don't know if there's something. I don't know anything about vagrancy laws or anything like that. But if somebody sees something that doesn't look right, I've heard stories of people at the Beacon going through a dumpster and just throwing stuff on the ground.
I've seen it.
Looking
I have
for,
seen it.
And
I've seen a guy walking right down 10th Street, talking to himself at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not something we need in our town.
Right.
The man is sick. He has a problem. Let's treat him. Let's keep him off the street.
Yeah.
That's what I'm in favor of anyway.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer. Getting them the help. I don't want to say locking them up. I think that sounds harsh. But get them to a facility where they can be evaluated. Sure, they can walk out, but I mean, why would somebody walk out from a warm bed and a meal to go sleep on the street? I don't know why they would do that.
Well, that probably they're not thinking rationally. I assume they're not thinking like you and I and most people,
right?
Because they're mentally ill.
Yeah.
And that's a tragedy. None of these solutions are going to be nice.
No.
None of these solutions are going to be easy. Every solution we can think of is going to cause controversy and pushback. That's for sure. But we have to do something.
Yeah.
We have to unite around that idea.
I agree.
Now we have a few minutes left. We're talking with Andy Fritz here at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. He is running for Ward 2 City Council seat. And I do want to, since you've been on the council before, the council is a council. They're not retail professionals.
Exactly.
But we do have a problem out of the Crossroads Mall.
Yeah.
The mall's fallen on hard times. Again, as I mentioned this to Nevin, we went through a big battle. You probably remember 10 years ago to get the Crosstown Connector done.
Yeah.
Whole idea was to direct traffic out there
Yep.
to our retail shopping area, and then use the local option sales tax to fix the streets. Well, Amazon came over the horizon like some ugly mothership from space, and now we have JCPenney's gone, Sears gone, Yonkers gone.
Right.
I mean, all of these things. And
Right.
I don't know what's left in there, really.
There's not much. Actually, my wife was out there the other night, and her words were, "It's sad." She came out of there
Boy,
and
that
said, "It's
place
sad."
used to be the place, I'll tell you.
It did. We look at the mall. I don't know the specifics of what the council had done recently. I know we set up a TIF zone out there to help with development of that area. It's been questioned, why are we putting that money towards the mall, making that TIF eligible? If we don't, no one's going to. And that brick building is going to sit there empty until it caves in on itself. And I've seen pictures on the internet of empty malls, and they're spooky places.
Oh, haven't you? I have. Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen. So if we can help a developer to come into this area, possibly tear down that mall and bring in new life, new retail. It's not going to be the big box stores. It's not going to be the huge retailers. But if we can get the people in the smaller stores, a small footprint, square footage wise, that's going to bring people back to Fort Dodge. That's going to help increase our local option sales tax that we get from the retail. You've seen along Fifth Avenue South, all the development that we've done along there in the past. That has spurred growth on Fifth Avenue with the burying of the power lines and the little corner decorations and whatnot. People were mad as heck about that we were spending money on doing that stuff. And you've seen it pay off. We've seen the increase in those local option sales tax dollars. And if we've got to help somebody come to our town to set up another project like that and bring more dollars into this community, then I'm all for it.
We got about 30 seconds. The last question for Andy Fritz, who's running for Ward 2 City Council. What would you like to accomplish or see accomplished in the next 4 years?
My biggest thing would be working with the Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance to bring more industry to this town and to bring programs to get skilled workers. In my position, I struggle.
I bet you do.
I do. So that's
Andy,
it.
thanks for being here. Or
Thank
should
you,
I call
Mike.
you Mark Crimmins? I never know.
Whichever.
Remember, everybody, out at the Friendship Haven Celebration Room, there is a information. I don't know if it's gathering or information for people who are wondering whether we should get our own broadband service or not, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's 5 o'clock. The news is next. Thank you for listening to KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
In front of a judge, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Two men accused of conspiring with associates of President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to make illegal campaign contributions enter pleas in federal court. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, David Correa and Andrei Kukushkin each pleaded not guilty to a single conspiracy charge. They are accused of making contributions to those in office who could benefit their political interests and a business venture believed to involve recreational marijuana. Their next court date will be in early December. They are linked to two other men, Igor Parmas and Lev Fruman, who are more closely tied to Rudy Giuliani and to an effort to get Ukraine to investigate 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son. Parmas and Fruman will be arraigned next week, Lisa.
Grinnell House Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff reacting after acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney admitted the White House held up military aid to Ukraine while President Trump pushed Ukraine to investigate Democrats.
Things have just gone from very, very bad to much, much worse.
This is at least 8 closed-door interviews are set for next week as the House continues its impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Energy Secretary Rick Perry is leaving the administration. The Associated Press reporting he informed the president of his decision aboard Air Force One as they head to a rally in Dallas.
By making the request today to leave the post of the president, it's very interesting because it makes us wonder, was this related to the whole Ukraine story? In fact, sources tell Fox News that it was Perry, along with EU Ambassador Sondland, Kurt Volker, all working with Rudy Giuliani on this idea of getting the Ukrainians to participate or at least not obstruct any possible investigations into malfeasance dating back to 2016.
Fox's Kevin Corke at the White House. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.08%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 1.25% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Temporary.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The YWCA of Fort Dodge will be having their annual Silver Showcase Gala this Saturday at Willow Ridge Golf Course. Here's YWCA of Fort Dodge Executive Director Mandy Krause-Kelly on the event.
It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's a lot of fun. Been gathering all of our donations for our silent and live auctions this week and just kind of making the rounds, selling lots of tickets.
Tickets are available at the door and are $25 per person. To purchase tickets in advance, you can go to the YWCA at 826 First Avenue North here in Fort Dodge or call 515-573-3931. Mandy Krause-Kelly says a lot more information is available on the event's website.
Silver Showcase, all one word, .givesmart, all one word, .com. That's silvershowcase.givesmart.com. On that website, you can pre-register for the auction. You can preview all the silent auction items.
The event will feature live music, a program, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and a live and silent auction, and much, much more. And all proceeds will go to benefit the YWCA of Fort Dodge. Webster County Assessor Angie Vinson was a guest on Divine Intervention with Mike Devine on KVFD AM 1400. During her appearance, she talked about recent activities from the Webster County Assessor's Office and the assessment of residential properties here in the area.
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on. First, we're going to address those notices that went out in the mail last week. We sent out about 16,000. What this is a lot of residential properties received a 10% increase. This has nothing to do with what Vanguard's is doing.
Vinson would go on to talk about equalization and explain what that means in terms of property assessment.
But it was strictly equalization, and I want to explain what equalization is. Every odd year, our office, along with the Department of Revenue, monitors sales. All sales in Webster County. We are supposed to be at 100% market value. We can be 5% low or 5% high, so we can be between 95 and 105, but if we're not, then we have to equalize the values. We have to bring them up to that 100%.
The weather was drier, but the latest USDA crop report does not show a lot of progress with the harvest. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
The report says field conditions remained wet despite the dry weather, and that limited farmers to around 3 working days last week. 7% of the corn crop has now been harvested, and that compares to 3% the week before. It's still 2 weeks behind the average harvest. The soybean harvest did advance a little faster, with 17% now in. That compares to 5% last week, and it's still 11 days behind the average. Radio Iowa.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Donner Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I am Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us. Open phones at 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Laurie starts off this hour in Idaho. Hi, Laurie. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I just wanted to tell you thank you for Financial Peace University. It started my journey, and I had spoke to you a year and a half ago about selling a rental property to put a down payment on my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one step further than that. I sold my commercial building as well and paid off my house.
Wow. How's that feel?
It feels great. But my question is, I feel like I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I'm putting $3,500 a month into my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, do I still need to be on a budget after being debt-free?
Yeah. Everybody needs to be on a budget. All a budget is telling your money what to do instead of wondering where it went.
Okay.
Or you're just telling it what to do.
Okay.
What do you want to do with your money? You got a lot more options now.
I want to be able to give.
Okay. So have a giving budget.
Giving budget.
Yeah, the Ramsey Family Foundation, our philanthropy that my oldest daughter runs, has a budget that we give away out of that budget every year. We're intentional about our giving.
That's a good idea.
We're very intentional about our giving. We lay it out every year, and we've got categories and particular ministries or particular things that we're going to support that year. We write those checks. The ones that are just categories, we're waiting on something to pop up in that category, and then she handles every bit of that in that case. But, yeah, just be intentional about your giving, at least by category. You don't have to you don't have to know every single thing in January that you're going to do through the whole 12 months. But have some pocket money that says, this is for random acts of kindness, and I'm just going to pay this stressed-out young couple's light bill.
Okay.
Right?
And so am I putting too much money away in my retirement?
I don't know. What's your income?
$65,000.
$3,500 is a lot.
I know, but I want to be able to be a millionaire.
You will be.
Even at 58 years old?
I don't know when you're going to die, but I suspect you will be.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
if you keep putting something like that, that's $30,000 a year, or almost $40,000 a year. It is $40,000 a year you're putting aside, and so yeah, I mean that's going to about 10 years or so. That alone, if it's invested in mutual funds, would turn into that. So that'd be $400,000 you put in 10 years. It easily would have grown to $1 million, and you'd only be 68. So as long as you're healthy, you're probably going to make it a lot later than that.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay. Well, that gives me
how
hope.
much money do you have in your 401k now, and in your nest egg today?
$350.
And what's your real estate worth?
$350.
Okay. If something is averaging 12% a year, it doubles every 7 years.
Oh, okay.
So you have 700 now.
Then I'll be a millionaire.
You have 700 now. In 7 years, you'd be a millionaire if you don't add anything to it.
Okay.
If you're invested well. I mean, I don't know if real estate's going to go up 12%. I don't know if the stock market's going to do 12%. But that's just kind of a rule of thumb. You can say, okay, it's going to. If it makes 7%, it's going to double in 12 years. Okay.
And I'll still be young enough to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, you're young enough to enjoy it now. And, so yeah, if you want to crank that $3,500 back a little bit so that you can do more giving or have more enjoyment, there's 3 things you should always be doing with money. You should be investing it, you should be giving it, and you should be enjoying it. It kind of sounds like you've got the generosity and the investing turned up so high that you're not enjoying it.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, like you're broke. Yeah, because you're not broke. You're not broke.
That's what I feel
you're
like.
Almost a millionaire now.
Okay.
Way to go.
I am. Exciting.
Good. I'm proud of you. All right, Liz is in Pennsylvania. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Good, Dave. I'm blessed, but I'm at a crossroads, and
okay.
I need a second opinion.
I've got one.
So my company is laying off, and this has been a typical every 2 years. I'm blessed. I work for a great company. I have a severance package where I would get 48 weeks and benefits up to 78 weeks. Where my crossroads is I am 52, almost 53, and my husband's 55.
Mm-hmm.
I want to raise my hand and be done and retire and spend my time volunteering and taking care of the house. And he wants to retire at 60. So we have about a 5-year gap of can we do this? Because we do have a fair amount in retirement.
How much is in retirement?
So my part's about $630 right now, $630,000. His is over $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm due for a pension. I can take the lump sum at age 55, but of course I can't touch it till I'm 59 and a half.
Right.
But my pension's about $430.
Okay. Good.
So, we're.
And you're 52.
I'm 52.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And he's 55.
And is your house paid for?
Yes.
And what does he earn?
He earns about $150 with about on average, he's been averaging a $50,000 bonus.
Okay, so you got a year of severance, and you got a year of severance. So now we're 53, and he makes $150, and at 55 you can roll your pension to an IRA, which you're going to do in good mutual funds because it'll do better there, and you get to keep the money in your estate when you die. If you die with a pension, they keep your money, so we always move it. Okay. So why can you not, if from 53 years old and on, when you've got a $2 million plus net worth, I understand you can't access that net worth right now because most of it is tied up in retirement till he gets to 59 and a half. But why can you not live on his 130?
Well, that's what I'm telling him. Really, it's 200 when you count bonus. But he's scared.
What's he scared of?
He's a saver, a huge saver. We have $600,000 between mutual funds and cash.
Now
on top of that.
On top of what you told me? On top of what you told me, that's not in a retirement account.
No. We have about $330 in mutual funds, a $150 in an annuity, and $150 in cash.
Okay, Bubba needs to learn to do math. Okay.
That's what I told him.
He's not scared. He's scared he can't pile up more money because he needs to enjoy money more. All he does is save it.
Okay.
And I'm proud of him. I mean, my God, you guys are worth several $1 million, obviously. You've done a wonderful job. Did you inherit all that, or did you work for all of it?
We worked and saved and budgeted.
You guys are awesome.
I mean,
you definitely can quit. You definitely should. You could quit, should quit. But the big thing here is y'all need to sit down with whoever's handling your investments, and they need to show you that you're okay so Bubba can relax. Because he is a saver. Wow. Way to go. That's what got you here, but you also need to get to the other side of it. You live like no one else, not so you can keep saving and be broke, but so you can live like no one else and give like no one else. And that's where you are. In today's world, technology and innovation are crucial for any company's success, but the primary focus should always be on you and meeting your needs. That's why you get the best of both with Zander Insurance and their term life plans. Zander uses time-saving technology like over-the-phone applications, voice or electronic signature, text message updates, electronic policy delivery, and even plans with no medical exams to speed up the process of getting you the protection your family needs. One of the reasons I've endorsed Zander for 20 years is they never skimp on service. They are committed to serving you, whether you want to do business online or need that personal touch. You pick your path. Go to Zander.com or call 800-356-4282. Zander will guide you through the whole thing, keep it simple, and find you the best rates. That's Zander.com or 800-356-4282.
Christians have an affordable and credible way to meet their overwhelming healthcare costs. It's Christian Healthcare Ministries, the original health cost sharing ministry. A Better Business Bureau accredited organization, CHM members share to pay each other's medical bills. It's not insurance. It's Christians financially and spiritually supporting each other. It's what CHM has done for over 35 years. Learn more at chministries.org. That's chministries.org. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a proud sponsor of Dave Ramsey live events.
Pure Talk USA saves you money. Donald from Minnesota said, we switched from Verizon to Pure Talk thanks to Dave Ramsey. I was skeptical, but after leaving the big city and traveling to a rural area, service coverage never lapses. We're also saving $40 a month. Guys, Pure Talk USA has the same great coverage for less and no contracts. Try it risk-free today. Call pound 250 and say the keyword Dave Ramsey.
Radio Iowa News is presented by the Iowa Department of Public Safety Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau. Wearing a seatbelt increases your chances of surviving a crash by 45%. It only takes 2 seconds to buckle up.
Good evening. I'm Darty Danielson. 2 South Central Iowa men will spend time in federal prison on child porn charges. 39-year-old Brian Rhodes was sentenced to 30 years, each for 3 counts of coercion, enticement of a minor, and 20 years for distribution of child pornography. Sentences will run concurrently. 46-year-old Jeremy Jameson was sentenced to 35 months for access with intent to view child pornography. Creston police say they were notified by a parent about an inappropriate conversation with Rhodes in their 11-year-old daughter's Facebook account. That led to the other charges. Police say that Rhodes sent Jameson an image of child porn. Iowa Congresswoman Cindy Axne says more biodiesel and ethanol plants in Iowa may shut down if the EPA fails to implement the deal it agreed to with the president earlier this month. The Democrat accuses the Trump administration of doing big oil's bidding
at the expense of hardworking Iowa families.
She doesn't buy the argument that the EPA has gone rogue. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Daniels.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't even really sure where she was at. She was very concerned. It was very unsettling for her.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it, to bring the family in on it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Gabrielle is with us in Indiana. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show, Gabrielle.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Okay, so we've been following you guys for about 5 months, and we got your book. Okay, so unfortunately, I fell and I broke my wrist, and I own a yoga kids company. So I have not been able to work in 6 weeks, and unfortunately I had to get a plate, so I cannot work until after Christmas. But so I know all about you, and you just say work. So I found a job that I can do on Sundays that I'll be making like $150 to $300 in cash. So my big question is now we have this unexpected medical debt of about $5,500, and I have everything set up on payment plans. Do I take the cash that I'm going to be making and throw it towards our credit card debt, or do I throw it towards our medical debt? Because medical debt has no interest.
The interest doesn't matter. List your debts smallest to largest and pay them in that order. Minimum
to be honest with you, our
payments.
medical debt and our credit card debt are tied at $5,500.
No, not by category, by individual debt.
What do you mean?
How many credit cards do you have?
We have 2.